if Diddy was to lose this trial, they would be able to file an appeal and list that this specific situation on that appeal. It says the rapper's legal team filed a letter to the judge, Submarinian, Sunday evening. So that was today. So they sent a letter to the judge today. This evening, claiming that while the court might believe the prosecution's questions about jurors' inconsistent answers during voir dire are sincere, the government is just finding pretenses to dismiss a juror because of their race. So yes, they're allegedly saying that you guys are just getting rid of this guy just because he's black. You know we got love. You know we got mad love in the culture. You know we got mad supporter in the culture. You guys are just trying to get rid of this guy, this juror, because he's black, and 90 or 80% of the time he might be on our side, and that's what you guys don't want this juror to be. You don't guys don't want him to be on our side because I heard that this jury pool is predominantly black. Um, and I heard it's predominantly male. So that's two things that can go in Diddy's favor because one, like I said, the culture is going to yes, the culture is going to know that he's done something bad, likes to act off emotions. Where and then of course as men is going to look at it for what it is. Like, come on, man, she wanted that thing, man. Like, men are gonna look at it like it's men. So he's a man, and men is gonna look at it. So it's gonna be easy to relate with Diddy, from a man perspective. Of course, the women, there might be some women that do feel like they can see through her. They can see through the witnesses bullshit. So is the jury play a big factor in how they feel about how things get ruled. Um, okay, boom. So let's continue that video.
Maybe not. Maybe there's got to be some sort of federal rule in place. That's why Super Made Offshore wanted to go back and take a look at the legalities of this and have his clerks do a little research.
Yeah, he's a very careful judge, and I think he will apply the letter of the law. And if there is a true residency requirement that you can't leave the district, I think he will replace it with an alternate. But it's interesting to hear that the defense thinks you guys are playing games. And there's a reason you've noticed his demeanor, perhaps. Maybe you've seen the way he's been responding to testimony, and you saw a way to get a juror off who you think might disrupt your case. I thought it was interesting.
So Enhanced Creators actually asked this question: when a juror is dismissed, are they replaced by a backup? Yes, they have 6 alternates, I believe,
That's
in
right.
this case, ready to go. They're listening to all of the testimony, and they will just be slotted in. You will not really be problematic is when a juror is dismissed after jury deliberations have started. Because what happens when that the person is slotted in, but jury deliberations, which in many cases, including I suspect in this one, can last many days, if not weeks, has to start afresh. You've got to start with day one of discussions, going through all of the evidence again, and that can be really disruptive. Here, they will slot that person in.
For that alternate. I've been an alternate juror, and you just sit there. You have to follow it closely, but you have no power. You're never going to deliberate, and then you get called into the big show. It's like being called up to the major leagues. Let's go with Bezo.
Yeah, and also, see, that's just so chaotic. So, of course, like I said, you could look at it both ways. You could look at it as Diddy team is desperately needing that juror and feel like that juror can be that one person that they can possibly hang their head off of. Because, of course, you only need to be swayed for him to be found not guilty, or for like I said, or for it to go a mistrial. So they are hanging their head off that one juror, or it could be like, hey, no, this is not right. You're gonna mess up this whole thing. Like we already laid the foundation. We're showing some consistencies. Like now you're gonna have a new guy come in. The new guy's gonna have to try to find a way to fit in and try to follow. Gonna ask questions. Like it's gonna be so chaotic, and you're putting a lot of pressure on an alternate that, bro, he's just trying to do this just because he was told he has to do it. He has to be here right now.
Legos comment says Kanye definitely showed up for the attention and left, just like the
I think
Grammys.
there might be a point there.
Listen, I mean that we know Kanye.
Yeah.
Let's look at Fact Check TV says, do you think the media played a role in hindering the public opinions with all the information put out related to this case?
I mean, this is what the media does, right? None of it is truly unrelated. The media is there for a couple of reasons. Number one, to inform the public. Number two is to sell copy, sell newspapers, sell television shows, sell websites. And so they put out information that the public finds interesting. And that information is not always going to be totally germane to the trial. It's information, again, that people want to consume.
I think that's right. And when you see a headline like he liked honey during his freak-offs, it's not super relevant to the case, but it is part of the trial, and there's a reason they elicited this testimony, and it is interesting. And people follow cases for myriad reasons, and one of them is just like to learn more about Diddy.
So Empowered Wendy says, can't Diddy just be transporting people to create porn, I guess? He's a producer, director, they're independent contractors and employees. He could be, but that's not what the testimony or evidence is. He was transporting people to have sex with them. He was filming them not for distribution as part of some sort of a porn industry. He was having sex with them and filming them for his own prurient interests, number one, and number two,
to hold over
their heads, which he did. He didn't disclose. He threatened people that if you go public with what's happening here, I'm going to disclose this. That is not porn at all.
Listen, I don't want to make light of this, but he wasn't showing Cassie the dailies from their shoot to say, like, do you approve of this video? He was to threaten her, according to her testimony, so it's very different than being a porn producer. I don't think that'll be his defense.
So Derek, last person, I like your face TV. I haven't heard the prosecution has rested calling witnesses. That officially happened today. No, prosecution is not rested yet. I think based on earlier estimates in the trial, I think we have at least one more week estimated to go in the prosecution's case in chief, 1 to 2 weeks.
I think that's right. I think they'll end when they end, and that could be a dynamic sort of thing. When they feel they've gotten the testimony they need, they may sort of back off and allow the defense. Defense has to be ready to present their case in chief whenever the prosecution rests, and they can pull the rug earlier than that. But I think you're right. They seem to be wanting to present a cumulative case of information. I think they run the risk of boring the jury or bringing up things that backfire on them, but I do think we have probably another few days to a week.
It's often the case that the prosecution will structure the testimony, as you've seen here, with the biggest witnesses right at the top, and then you get into the experts, and you bring up certain fact witnesses, and then just like sort of, I don't know, compiling the elements of a television show, you will wait until the end, and you will put something fire at the end.
Yep.
Something to leave in the jury's mind, something that the bookend, and something that the defense will have to respond to, react to in their case. So I'm sort of on a little bit of a tenterhooks here, waiting for.
But there is a feel. I mean, even though it's largely theater, they're watching the jury every day, and they're reading the cues that they can of how this testimony is landing, what more they need to prove. So there's a bit of sort of uncertainty in the trial, even though it's largely theater.
Enjoy your weekend, everybody. We'll see you on a Monday.
See you next time.
Yo, like, honestly, it's oh my gosh, bro. Like, you're really, like, it got you hooked on your edge of your feet, on your toes. Like, bro, like, what is gonna happen next? Like, I don't know if people are thoroughly interested in what's gonna happen to Diddy, or people are just trying to, feed a fetish that they always been interested in. Like, yo, the conspiracy of what actually happens in these, like, rich billionaires parties, like what actually happened, what kind of lifestyle they really live in. So I think people might just be more interested in what it is that billionaires do in their free time. Actually, I think that's what it basically is. But let's continue with the follow-ups, the updates from Friday's hearing.
Well, I've slipped and fell twice. He didn't say what he slept and fell in, but if you have that much lube and that much baby oil, you can kind of figure it out. Hey everybody, Charles here. Day 23 in Diddy's federal trial. And we learned a little bit about post-freak-off slip and falls. It happened to someone. We will explain what they were slipping and falling in.
No, post-freak-off slip and falls is crazy.
But Diddy was not the person everyone was talking about today.
Can you imagine that crap, bro? Like, you're talking about. Okay, they're saying that Diddy allegedly had his whole team involved in this, formally or informally, like, knowing or not knowing, they still helped him, for make this become a thing. So post freak off slip and falls is wild. It's diabolical. Imagine everything we have heard of everything we have found out about these freak offs, how sometimes they Diddy allegedly forced these women to have a freak off while they're on their periods, while they're sick, while they're healthy, like, all types of things. So we're talking about all types of lubes, all types of body fluids, all types of everything, just everywhere, right? And they're cleaning it up. And for them to have a slip and fall in it, like, bro, imagine slipping and falling in some mysterious ass freaking liquids. Oh my freaking gosh, bro. Like, yo, that would be fucking nuts, bro. Like, yo, slipping and falling in some type of weird liquid substance, bro, and then like you touch it to be like, what the heck is this? And like, it's just, and you smell it, and it's just like, bro, like, oh my gosh, just the thought of just the thought of thinking that is just mouth watering, vomiting, bro. Like, I just like bruh.
For a while, it was a different celebrity. His buddy, Ye. Kanye West showed up at the federal courthouse in New York today, and what an appearance it was. Made a big entrance. He did not come in at the beginning of the day, and in fact, it was a little unclear whether he'd even be able to get into court because testimony had already begun. But he rolled up, got out of his car, walked in, all head to toe in white denim, and then was met at the door by Diddy's son, King Combs. But when he went inside, I think things did not go the way that Ye expected them to go. Obviously, he's going there because he wants to show support for Diddy, and really, he would be the first of his celeb friends to show any support, any public support at least, for Diddy, and the only celeb who would have shown up at court to support him. But he did not get to go into the courtroom. He walked into the courthouse and then was told that he couldn't go into the courtroom and he'd have to go into the overflow room. Now, the overflow room is where they have a lot of other reporters, media gathered watching, essentially just watching the trial on a big TV. And we're told from our reporter, Jacob was in that overflow room. That's where he watches every day. And there was a big commotion in there. They actually, the deputies came in, they cleared off a bench at the back of that room, and it seemed like that's where they were expecting Kanye to watch. But then there were a lot of people coming in and out, and even some of Diddy's attorneys stuck their head in, kind of looking for Ye. Didn't see him in there. Well, it turns out what the deputies decided was that it was just going to be too much of a commotion, too much of a distraction if you were sitting in that room with all the other media. I mean, let's be honest. If you're a reporter and you're in that room, you're no longer looking at the trial. You're watching
no cap
Ye to see how he's reacting to things that are being said, bro, in the trials.
No cap. I'm not even gonna lie, bro. Imagine being in trial and freaking Kanye West pop in that bit, bro. What? Bro, Bump, what the heck happening up here, man? Yo, what? Kanye West is in here. Yo, he is walking. He's in the same room as me, walking. Where is he? He's sitting. Where is he gonna sit? Oh my gosh, he's walking into the aisle. Oh my gosh, he's gonna sit next to a random person. Oh no, he knows him. He's dapping him up. Oh, yep. Bro, that's going to be my whole thing. Like, I am literally going to forget what the heck is going on in front of me, what's being asked. Like, bro, I am glued to the back, like, all right, like, yo. So, honestly, it's understandable when they say, yeah, Kanye, you can't come in here. Yeah, you might be a little bit of a distraction. You might be a little bit of a distraction. So, hey, I definitely agree with it from that standpoint.
So they decided to not bring him in there. He got his own private overflow room. And he was only there, so he sat down in there with King Combs, but he was only there for about 10 minutes. If you know anything about Ye, once he realized that there wasn't going to be this big show of him walking into court and everyone gasping and, him trying to wave to Diddy or whatever it is, that once that was not happening, he decided he was out of there. He literally was in the overflow room for about 10 minutes and then walked out and was gone. Didn't have anything to say when he left, and that was it. So, with that whole circus out of the way, what actually happened in the trial today? Only 2 witnesses on the stand, and one of them, the first was a special agent, Andre Lamont, and he ran through a lot of things that we already knew about the raids. He was going over basically an inventory of things that they found at the LA home during the raid.
What if your website's success was only limited by one single thing? Privacy regulations.
Talked about weapons, talked about drugs, ketamine, ecstasy, and the weapons. Aside from the guns, he also talked about the ammo that was found and that it was armor-piercing bullets that they found there, which we had known that from the indictment. It always seemed weird to me that Diddy would need that kind of ammunition, but he didn't really get into what it could be used for, just talked about this is what they found. Then there was something that I guess you could say is a bit of maybe freak-off shaming, you could call it. We've all heard about the baby oil. We've heard about personal lubricant that was found and the amounts that were found. But he went through the numbers, and I guess you feel like maybe the prosecutors felt like they've probably heard about this. We need to let the jury know what was found there, because if we don't bring it up, they're going to be going, wait a second, remember all that stuff we heard about baby oil? How come that didn't come up in the trial? So the special agent said they found 200 bottles of baby oil. 200. This is just in the LA home. And lube, 900 bottles. I can't even imagine, how did he order 900 bottles of lube? It's mind-boggling. Anyway, they covered that, and then they moved on. The next person on the stand was Jonathan Perez, and Jonathan was a former assistant for Diddy, and he reported, at least he said for a time, reported directly to Christina Karam, who is the chief of staff, former chief of staff for Diddy. Now, what Jonathan was talking about was what he had to do as an assistant. Now, he said that this was only about 1% of his responsibilities. That seems, if this is only 1%, I'm not sure what else they had this guy doing. But he talked about king nights. Now, we've heard Cassie call them freak-offs. We've heard Jane call them hotel nights. The employees, at least, Jonathan testified, knew them as king nights. That's the way it was described to him by Christina, that every now and then Diddy would have these king nights where he would stay at a hotel with a woman. Jonathan said that it was usually Jane when he was setting these things up. And he talked about what the setup was about, that they would get enough supplies in there for about 12 to 24 hours of fun for Diddy and whoever else was in there. And he wanted 12 to 24 hours where he wouldn't have to call Jonathan or any other assistants, that he could just be there without bothering anybody. Things they had to set up: food, liquor, music, red lights, condoms, lube, and sometimes honey. And this was interesting. I think
I don't see nothing wrong with that. I don't see nothing wrong with that at all. I don't see nothing wrong with y'all. See something wrong with that? Those supplies sounds like they're definitely needed, if you know what I mean.
a lot of the things you hear about honey and what it's good for in your health. I hadn't heard this one, but said that Diddy would have honey as part of the setup because it enhances the libido. So there's some news you can use. Beyond that, Jonathan talked about drugs that he would have to set up. He said sometimes
he's like, here's a nugget if you need some issues, if you need some help. It helps the libido.
You would get Xanax, cocaine, Molly. He said only about a handful of times from, and here's a couple of colorful characters to add to the mosaic of this trial. He said the dealers that he would get it from were people named Guido and Baby Girl. Pretty sure those were not their given names.
Baby
just their
girl.
professional names. Um, but he talked about all of that setup. And then let's talk about the aftermath, because if Jonathan had to go in and set up for all this, and then 12 to 24 hours, maybe even longer, we've heard testimony that sometimes these went as long as 3 days, but he said he would also have to go in and clean up the hotel rooms. And he talked about a text exchange that he had with Christina, who was asking how the cleanup was going, and he texted back to her, well, I've slipped and fell twice. He didn't say what he slept and fell in, but if you have that much lube and that much baby oil, you can kind of figure it out. When you hear all these things that Jonathan had to do, you just go like, God, I hope this guy was getting some hazard pay. He did testify as to what his salary was, so you can decide if this would be enough for you. He said he started out at $80,000 a year. That's nothing to sneeze at, and actually went up to $100,000. But man, cleaning up after those freak-offs. Anyway, 80 to 100,000. That's what he said his salary was.
Yo, imagine cleaning up after the freak-off, bro. 80 to 100,000. Is that worth it? Is that worth the cleanup fee? Is that cleanup fee worth it? Let me know, man. I don't know. Like 80 to 100,000, that cleanup fee. That's about what, 2,500. Just to clean. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. We're gonna have to let it sit
and
a
then
little bit.
on cross-examination, this was interesting because they made Jonathan talk about the fact that one, he had many other responsibilities. The King Knights were just a small part of that. And
ready to lose the hat and regrow the hair? With Choose by Hims, you can regain your hair and your confidence.
They asked him also how he felt about Diddy.
I'll be right, Chad.
And he said, actually, he was asked this by the prosecutors, which is also interesting, that the prosecutors asked him how he felt about Diddy today. And he said, I feel great about him, the same way I felt when I was leaving my employment, which is an odd thing after all those things he just said he had to do, which you would think would be very distasteful. He said he still felt great about Diddy. He said that on cross-examination, he had never seen him be violent with anyone, and that, which I thought was an odd thing to ask him because, I mean, we all, as part of this testimony, we've seen the Cassie video, the jurors have seen it, they know about it, so why does it matter that Jonathan never saw him hit a woman or anybody else? But they had him talk about that. And then he talked about some text messages between himself and Jane where they were talking about the things he needed to pack up, that Jane would ask him to pack up for these King Knights. And I think that was interesting because what they wanted to point out was that Jane was involved in setting up these things. And again, this is all about trying to make it clear that she was into this lifestyle and Diddy was not forcing her into that. That was what the defense got clear to the jury on cross-examination. So winners and losers, today I gotta say it's prosecutors, because they got back to, after several days of Jane being cross-examined and really making it murky for the jurors as to whether or not she was forced into this lifestyle or not. Today you just had people talking about the bad things, right? You had the special agent talking about all these things they found, the ammunition, the drugs, probably not that shocking to the jury anymore, but certainly the ammunition and certain firearms that had serial numbers scratched off, all of that just looks really shady, so that's bad. And then you have Jonathan detailing everything he had to go through as an employee of Diddy's. All that stuff isn't good. It's just not good for the character of Diddy. It's not good for what he was making employees and people in his organization do. And that's gonna inch closer to racketeering. I don't think the prosecutors have fully shown their cards on that yet, but today I would say the prosecutors were the winners. Next week, we are expecting the testimony of Brendan Paul, a guy whose face you probably remember when the raids went down. He got arrested after the raid in Florida when they went on Diddy's private jet. He was the so-called drug mule and who was arrested and charged, but those charges have been dropped. Perhaps because it was a first offense, it was a state charge, state crime, and they made a point when they dropped those charges of saying the federal prosecutor said, we did not strike a deal with this guy. The charges were not dropped because we are letting him off of testifying. He is expected on the stand next week, and I'm sure he's going to have a lot to say about what he had to do under Diddy's employ. So looking forward to that next week, and maybe the prosecution. Today you just had people talking about the bad things, right? You had the special agent talking about all these things they found, the ammunition, the drugs, probably not that shocking to the jury anymore, but certainly the ammunition and certain firearms that had serial numbers scratched off, all of that just looks really shady, so that's bad. And then you have Jonathan detailing everything he had to go through as an employee of Diddy's. All that stuff isn't good. It's just not good for the character of Diddy. It's not good for what he was making employees and people in his organization do. And that's gonna inch closer to racketeering. I don't think the prosecutors have fully shown their cards on that yet, but today I would say the prosecutors were the winners. Next week, we are expecting the testimony of Brendan Paul, a guy whose face you probably remember when the raids went down. He got arrested after the raid in Florida when they went on Diddy's private jet. He was the so-called drug mule and who was arrested and charged, but those...
Perfect, the drug mule, Brendan Paul. Brendan Paul, the drug mule. We're gonna find out some more stuff about Brendan Paul. Brendan Paul I've heard that Brendan Paul, he was the drug mule. He was the guy, he played basketball in Syracuse. He's the Syracuse basketball player that was arrested at, I think, one of the airports with drugs, saying that he was Diddy's drug mule. So, yes, the case was dropped, but they did not, it's a weird thing. So, they're going to bring him in to talk about it. And I think I heard that Brandon Paul's, his testimony, Brandon, let's see, Brandon, how would you spell his name? Brandon Paul? No, not Brandon. Brandon Paul Diddy. Yeah, Brandon Paul Diddy. Let's look at Brandon Paul Diddy. Brandon Paul Diddy. Yo, you guys make sure y'all hit that follow button for your boy, man. We on our way to affiliate, man. New streamer here. Yo, we consistent out here. So tap in with your boy, man. We consistent, man. So Brandon Paul. Let me see. Life of Diddy Trial, Jury 6. Brandon Paul. Okay. So let's look at a couple things. So Brandon Paul, the drug. Okay, let's see what this is like. Okay.
All right, face it. Your life is a complete mess right now. The laundry's not folded. You haven't exercised in weeks.
This was from last year.
This is 25-year-old Brendan Paul. He's a former Syracuse University basketball player, but he's better known off the court as P. Diddy's alleged drug mule. These allegations date back to February, when a bombshell civil lawsuit against P. Diddy called out Brendan Paul by name, listing him as someone who allegedly acquires and distributes Diddy guns and drugs. This was the lawsuit filed by Rodney Jones, better known as Lil Rod. He's P. Diddy's former producer, who laid out a laundry list of serious allegations against Diddy. Lil Rod claims Diddy sexually assaulted him, groomed him to have sex with celebrities, and was the kingpin in a gun, drug, and sex trafficking empire. Similar allegations against Diddy had already been brought forward back in November of last year, when 4 civil suits were filed against Diddy. That includes suits from his ex-girlfriend, Cassandra Ventura, who you know as the singer Cassie, along with Joy Dickerson Neal, Liza Gardner, and a woman who identified herself only as Jane Doe. All three women alleged Diddy raped them, with the allegations dating back to the early 90s. That brings us to March 25th of this year, when federal search warrants were executed at two of Diddy's properties in both California and Florida. Almost 2 months later, Diddy has not been arrested and no charges have been filed. But things didn't stay quiet in Diddy's world for long. On March 27th, just 2 days after those federal raids, Brendan Paul was arrested at the airport in Miami while trying to board Diddy's private jet.
Yo, him being arrested in Miami while trying to board his private jet is crazy, bro.
Paul was arrested and charged with cocaine and marijuana possession, but the latter charge was quickly dropped. Just this week, there's been movement in his case in the way of a plea deal. The bottom line, Brendan Paul will not face jail time.
And he would have been facing 5 years in prison.
That's former prosecutor Melba Pearson, who previously worked in the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office, the same one that brought charges against Paul. As she explains, Paul's plea deal included something called a diversion program.
But since he did not have anything in his past, he didn't have a criminal history, he was offered what was called diversion. And what that does is that it gives you the opportunity for participation in a program for 6 months. If you don't get arrested again, if you complete the program, so it could be drug therapy, it could be counseling, it could be community service, it could be any of a number of things, it just could be a fine. You comply, you do all of that, and then after 6 months, the charges get dropped against you, meaning that you don't have anything on your criminal record in terms of a conviction.
I think that's cap. I think that's pure BS. Reason for it is because, they made sure that, they might have made sure that they look out for him as long as he look out for them. So meaning him coming on the stand on Monday, tomorrow, bro, I feel like this might go bad for Diddy, no cap. This might go bad for Diddy, no cap, bro. Like, this boy right here is alleged to be his drug mule, and he gets his guns for him. This might not look good for Diddy, man. This might not look good, man.
The arrest will still be on your record. You'll have to disclose that if let's say you do a job application and they ask whether or not you've been arrested, you have to answer yes. But if they ask you if you've been convicted, you can check no, which is, again, a huge thing in terms of collateral consequences and being able to move forward with your life after an interaction with the criminal justice system.
I think it's cap.
Paul's attorney, Brendan Bieber, released this statement in regard to the plea. Quote, Brendan accepted the prosecutor's offer to permit his entry into the diversion program, which, after completion, the case against him will be dismissed in its entirety. The Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office also made a statement saying the plea was a, quote, standard offer to a nonviolent defendant with no priors, who was arrested for a possession case instead of a much more serious trafficking case. From the time Brendan Paul was arrested in late March to now, it hasn't been that long, about 2 months. Are you surprised at how quickly things were wrapped up?
I'm not incredibly surprised because, again, this is something that happened in Miami. This is an office that I used to work for, and I remember the volume of cases I had when I was a prosecutor, especially a line prosecutor, handling that level of felony. So that is a normal outcome. That's not very bizarre. And actually, to put a finer point on it, I don't think that he had to testify or do anything else in exchange for the plea, right? Normally, if we see a case wrap up this quickly, that would be the first thing that I'd be asking, like, oh, okay, what else did you do in exchange for that favorable plea? But looking at his history, looking at the volume of cases, and also looking at the severity of the charge, in the universe of things, it's not trafficking. It's literally possession of cocaine with an argument that could have been made that this was for personal use. I wasn't trying to resell it. I wasn't trying to, take it overseas or make money off of it.
But the issue is that he was going to be boarding Diddy's plane with these drugs. So that's the interesting part about it.
Just, for me to party this weekend, right? When you look at it from that perspective, the outcome, the resolution, the plea makes a lot of sense and is not outside of the norm.
We have to pause this Brendan Paul story for just a sec to give you a law and crime legal alert. On anytime.com, closed today. Melba theorizes that Paul's team went to the state attorney's office almost right away.
Yeah, so what I think probably happened is that Brendan Paul knew, obviously, he was caught with it on him. Probably there was a lab test that indicated that what the police seized that day actually was, in fact, cocaine. So this is not something you go to trial with, right? You already know you're caught dead to rights. So the question is, how can we resolve it? So I'm sure his attorney reached out to the prosecutor's office, asked to see if a diversion plea was on the table. And the prosecutor, again, looking at the facts, looking at the history, his criminal history, looking at the totality of the circumstances, was like, you know what? A diversion plea makes the most sense. And at least number one, it assures the safety of the community. Because again, as much as Brandon Paul was a part of Diddy's universe, we haven't really heard that he himself was participating in the harm that was done to the people that attended those parties, to the survivors, right? He procured drugs for the parties, but they didn't say much about him himself participating in harming people. I think that distinction may have.
No, and I don't think that's what we're gonna uncover. Like I believe with him taking the stand this week, tomorrow, to be exact, um, I believe the I believe the government is going to try to make a picture of, okay, Diddy, and I guess they're gonna try to create the picture of a criminal, more, I guess, more creative picture of a criminal by showing how he had, Brandon, the drug mule, doing his deeds, and how Brandon made connections. Like, I think Brandon is about to open up a whole can of worms that we are not ready for, honestly. And I believe it might be damning. It might be damning. It might be damning, bro. It might be damning. It might be damning.
Been would have been problematic if there was some discussion of him harming people. Then he may not have gotten a diversion plea. He may have gotten something along the lines of probation, and maybe there would have been more pressure on him to testify against.
This is Pod 5.
I heard that
the first fully
I heard that his interrogation I heard that his interrogation video is out there. I want to say I heard that his interrogation video is out there. We gonna have to find that. We gonna have to find that. I heard his interrogation video is out there.
A diversion plea, he may have gotten something along the lines of probation, and maybe there would have been more pressure on him to testify against Diddy in any investigation. Again, that's not to say that the feds can't call him up and say, we need to talk to you. That can happen at any point in time, separate and distinct from this case.
Is it possible that investigators asked Brendan Paul anything about Diddy, or would they not even ask at all because it was completely unrelated?
I think that it's two unrelated investigations, right?
Nope.
He was caught at the Opa-locka airport, which is a private airport, with the drugs on him, even though that was something that came out of the federal investigation, and the federal agents would probably be keeping an eye on what's happening. They would question him about anything having to do with Diddy. Local law enforcement, the Miami-Dade Police Department, whoever it is that actually made the arrest, they wouldn't question him about Diddy. They'd only question him about the drugs, and if there was some other connection to Diddy, just in the narrow avenue talking about the drugs, not about the sexual assaults or anything like that, just the drugs. It would be up to the feds to decide if they want to question him and how they want to question him with regards to Diddy and the sexual assault allegations.
That leads to my next question, because Brendan Paul's arrest happened just days after these federal raids at two of Diddy's homes. And we know that Brendan Paul was arrested by Miami-Dade officials and Homeland Security, the same people who performed the raids at Diddy's homes. Do those two things relate at all? Is it possible that Homeland Security was keeping an eye on Diddy?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. This is a matter of trying to catch everybody they can in his universe. And again, use that as an opportunity to put pressure on him in terms of getting him to cooperate with the investigation, or again, just trying to figure out what he actually did, when he did it, and what charges can be filed against him. So it's connected from that perspective. But again, I don't see the Miami-Dade Police Department questioning him about what's happening with Diddy. That would be up to Homeland Security, basically federal agents who would be leading that particular investigation.
Paul's attorney says he's already part of the diversion program. But if Brendan Paul slips up again, there may not be the same outcome. What happens if Brendan Paul is caught again with drugs while he's during this diversion program? Would that be even more severe for him?
Absolutely. So if he is caught with or arrested again for drug possession moving forward, the question would be number one, amount. If it's back in that same realm of cocaine possession, smaller amounts, then again, he can possibly make the argument, I have an addiction, I need help. And usually the courts will be sympathetic with that, because we all know in the criminal justice system that people who are struggling with addiction, they don't get over it in one fell swoop, right? Like basically you can relapse several times before you actually become clean and sober. So they usually have some grace when it comes to that. Now, if he's caught with trafficking amounts of cocaine, that's a whole different story, right? Or if it's a matter of sale of cocaine, again, that's all speaking to the amount of cocaine that he had on him. If it ends up being something like that, first of all, the initial charge, that initial cocaine possession case, comes back in full force. So he gets thrown out of the diversion program and then has to face either going to trial or taking another plea to the cocaine possession that's going to be more severe in nature. On top of that, he's facing whatever's happening with the new case that he is arrested for. So if he's arrested for a trafficking amount, he could be looking at 15 years in prison. Again, it all depends on the quantity of the drugs that he's caught with. And then he'll have to figure out how to resolve.
I'm trying
that
to find
case at
that
that
interview,
point.
guys, for you
As far
guys.
as the
I'm trying to
allegations
find that
brought
interview.
on by Lil Rod,
Because I heard he
Paul was
exposes
listed
everything,
several times.
allegedly.
First, simply as Diddy's mule. The lawsuit reads Paul, quote, works as
Of
Mr.
course, Lil
Combs'
Rod,
mule.
we do
He
not take Lil
acquires
Rod
and
seriously
distributes
because
Mr. Combs' drugs and
he's
guns.
lied
But in
on
Lil Rod's
his
second amended complaint,
complaint.
he gets more specific. The suit reads, quote, members of the enterprise and their associates procured, transported, and distributed ecstasy, cocaine, GHB, ketamine, marijuana, mushrooms, and 2C by packing these substances in their carry-on luggage and going through TSA. Plaintiff Jones personally witnessed members of the enterprise do this during national and international travel. The lawsuit specifies Lil Rod witnessed Brendan Paul participate in this alleged trafficking on December 22, 2022, on a trip from Miami, Florida to St. Barthélemy, or St. Bart's. What's next for Brendan Paul? I mean, he was mentioned in Lil Rod's lawsuit that alleged some pretty severe things. Is it possible that the feds are keeping an eye on Brendan Paul as time goes on?
Absolutely.
I know they are.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I
Hell
firmly
yeah.
believe the feds are watching everybody in Diddy's universe. And while they may be more active in surveillance of other people, some people more than others, they're still going to be keeping an eye, because again, if Brendan Paul ends up in a more serious situation, they can use that as leverage to try to find out more information about what went on with Diddy's parties and at Diddy's homes. So it's possible.
Listen to this.
How does this relate to Lil Rod at all? I mean, it's completely separate charges. There have been no criminal charges in the allegations that Lil Rod brought forward about Diddy or Brendan Paul, but does it relate at all?
It does, from the standpoint of it brings more credibility to what he was saying. And again, this is court of public opinion, right? So he releases this, he files this lawsuit. It gets released into the media with these bombshell, explosive allegations. And a lot of people were like, this seems like really beyond the pale. I mean, this seems insane, right? And then you match that up with what Cassie Ventura said, you start to see a pattern. Now you see somebody else that was mentioned in that universe arrested for drug possession, and Little Rod, alleged that Brendan Paul was the one who was the drug man of choice for Diddy and his parties. And now he's arrested in Miami, by Diddy's jet for drug possession. Again, it just kind of boosts his credibility, and it also kind of boosts Cassie's credibility as well, because again, you're seeing one long line of truth and accuracy in everything that they're saying.
Melba says Florida, specifically Miami, where Diddy has a home and Brendan Paul was arrested, has kept an eye on the case.
People are talking about it, but I can't say that it's one of the things that, the entire town is abuzz with regards to this, right? I think there was always just sort of like some question in terms of, especially in recent history, like, what's really going on with him. And a matter of once that lawsuit involving Cassie was made public, I think nobody was incredibly shocked by the fact that he was arrested. I think there's been some discussion in terms of the amount of agents that went to his house to conduct the search. There are some people that felt it was a government overreach because of the number of officers that showed up, et cetera, et cetera. I'm kind of neutral on that from the perspective of it's a large property, right? So you're not going to send 5 people to go search a multi-acre property with multiple bedrooms.
I guess
and
I could agree on you with that.
Where evidence
I guess I could agree with you on that. I guess I could.
I wasn't too disturbed by that.
Yes, I could.
At the same token, I can see how some people, again, seeing that show of force and lots of armed agents crawling around a luxury home, I can see how that can be jarring for a lot of folks. So, that would be the extent of the discussion that we're really hearing down here in Florida around Diddy and his case, or potential case.
At this point, we're inching toward June, which would put us at the 2-month mark since these federal raids, and still we have no criminal charges. What do you think is next for Diddy? I know we've spoken in the past that if federal prosecutors are hoping to build a case against them, they're going to be pretty meticulous, but we still haven't seen an arrest. So what do you expect?
I expect that the investigation is going to continue. I was never under an impression this was going to be a quick arrest, because again, when the Department of Justice, when the U.S. Attorney's offices are helping to coordinate an investigation, even with Homeland Security or the other entities that are involved, this is a slow, methodical process. They usually come to trial with the physical evidence, with audio surveillance, video surveillance, they're and high quality evidence as well. So if they can't gather that, and if they can't bring forth a level of evidence that they feel is necessary to assure a conviction, not that, I think we have enough to file. No. They want to make sure 110% that this is going to result in a conviction. They are not going to file until they feel that ready. So I think that this could drag on for a few more months before we see anything.
We haven't heard from Diddy's defense since the raids, but here's what we do know. Diddy's attorneys call the federal raids a gross overuse of military-level force, saying there's no excuse for the excessive show of force and hostility exhibited by authorities or the way his children and employees were treated. In response to Lil Rod's lawsuit, Diddy's team says in part, quote, his reckless name-dropping about events that are pure fiction and simply did not happen is nothing more than a transparent attempt to garner headlines. And Diddy's last statement about the allegations came in December 2023 with a post to social media. It reads, quote, enough is enough. For the last couple of weeks, I have sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation and my legacy. Sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and for the truth. As for the allegations regarding Brendan Paul, his attorney released a statement back in March saying, quote, we do not plan on trying this case in the media. All issues will be dealt with in court. From here, Brendan Paul now undergoes the 6-month diversion program. For now, the charges against him are still pending, but if and when he completes the program, they'll be dropped. Reporting for Long Crime, I'm Sierra Gillespie.
Why did Amazon send me $20,000? Because I use...
So yeah, man. So Brandon Paul, bro, I cannot find that flipping interview, an interrogation interview, man. I'm catching a blank here. Like, I don't understand
that, but
I cannot
that,
understand for
but
the
Diddy.
life of me, bro. Like, I cannot find that crap, bro. I cannot find it. Oh, I cannot find it. This is horrible. This is horrible. But yeah, but sheesh. I would still look for it, but I'm gonna get us on to the next video that I wanted to touch on. So the next video is like I said, it goes into depth. It's from a YouTuber named Armand Wiggins. His so he does a pretty good job at giving us the updates from the trial daily. He does a daily show in the evening after after the trial, just giving us an update of how the court was, how everybody was, how the court was looking, what was like. So this week, so yesterday, he came on with a group of other um creators that were at the trial as well, or has been at the trial as well with him. So this group of creators have jumped on, and each of them give their perspective on what they believe really happened. Not really what they believe really happened, but what their perspective on the case and where they see it going and how they feel, if or any. Like it's a really good video that kind of like breaks down where we are in this trial to today, and it kind of really put everything into perspective. So I really want you guys to take a look at this, and it helps you kind of make your own opinion. um it really kind of does make you make your own opinion. So let's watch this. You guys type
It's really clear and really good notes. She's really okay, because y'all know we can never start the show without the Duchess. Okay, so 1 second. And then, because we're coming back live tomorrow night, okay? But we're going inside the freak off. Yes, we're going inside the park. Maybe on night today. All right, didn't mean I wasn't gonna come. We got my first guest to the show. I'm super excited for her. She's been doing her thing. Honestly, I had to hunt her down today because she was supposed to text me and she didn't. But you know what? I love her so much. She's really great doing her stuff. She stays out of the mess, writes really clear and really good notes. She's really been a powerhouse at the courthouse. Really, really love her. So I'm going to shout out to Queen Sheba in the building, and she's here on YouTube. You're on mute, babe. You're on mute. Let me unmute you.
Woo!
How
Hello,
are
New York.
you?
I am good, Armand. Let me tell you something, baby. I cut my dinner short for you, and everybody knows the queen likes to eat, so I'm good. I'm ready to go, baby. I'm locked and loaded.
Let me tell you something. First of all, I just admire you. I think that you come with so much poise. You're so detailed. I really took a liking to you. And you can probably tell, so I heard people at the courthouse, there was a rumor that I'm a mean girl. I don't feel like I'm a mean girl, but I mean, you can let me know. I feel like I've taken a liking to you.
Girl,
So maybe
you
you
a
don't think
mean
I'm
girl, but it takes you a little bit. Yes, hold on, but it takes you a little bit of thought out. You know how your mama would say, "Take out the meat before I get home."
Yes.
Boom.
You know why? Because I just feel like, but I feel like I wasn't like that with you. I feel like I just needed to see what was given. I was like, okay, I like her. She's cool. She's, I just feel like you fit into my vibe. So, so I wanted to have you here. So you were in the courtroom Friday when all the mayhem went down. I was not there. So from being inside and just everything that went down, what happened with the finale of Jane Doe and the new guy? Like, lace us up. What did we miss?
Okay, Friday was an absolute. I like the technical part of the testimony. So there was two technical aspects of the testimony. We have the special agent that testified on the behalf of Homeland Security, which Mark Agnafilio was not a fan of him before he came into the courtroom. He specified to the judge, listen, FBI agents, special agents are liars and crooks. And if he cannot give us direct answers, and if he cannot asked the questions about where the weapons were. What the hell are we here for? That's the first thing. The second thing was primarily focused on juror number 6. And the defense spent a great portion of their time arguing that it was racially motivated and racially it was just they were just saying, first of all, you're questioning the man's literacy, so we can confirm that he can read and write. And Mark's argument
Wait,
was,
hold
listen,
on. Questioning, let's slow down with that. Questioning the man's literacy. So what I was hearing with juror number 6 is they were looking at the fact that he lived in Jersey versus living in New York, and then he was suing his old like apartment something. Is that not included? What's going on? I can't hear you.
that was okay.
Okay.
That what can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, that was included, but what people are not realizing is that was the third aspect of the argument, which is why the defense took such offense to the prosecution slash government. They say, first of all, you question his literacy behind the scene. You were saying that he didn't appear to be competent. He wasn't answering the questions up front. Now we verify that he can read and write, and you keep going on and on and on. And how they were able to defend him was a technicality, right? He was not, according to the government, upfront and honest about his place of residence. Okay, they feel like he lied just to be a juror in the Diddy trial. So at the end, they were able to get him one way or the other. Xavier Donaldson argued, you, on one hand, you present, give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
On one hand, you present that you're being diverse as it relates to jurors, but on the other hand, you're picking them off one by one by one to ensure that Mr. Combs does not have a vote as it relates to what's in the box.
Yes.
So they did get him on the technicality, but they actually had 3 things that were an issue with him that they brought up in the courtroom. And that's why I take good notes, honey.
Okay, so let me ask you this before we get into our next person. So I was hearing that Brian Steele said on the stand that it wasn't until somebody said the juror is stopped taking notes or was making faces. Now all of a sudden the prosecution has zeroed in on that juror, and that told me that the Brian Steele was apparently insinuating that there was maybe content creators or blogs or media publication zeroing in on this specific juror. So now the prosecution is somehow in bed with certain media outlets, and now they have ganged up together to try to get that juror out of the seat. Is that happening too?
I feel like it is happening, and I feel like one thing that the government did not say and the defense did not say is this was a for sure vote for Diddy. This was a 1. You know, when you play spades and they ask you to count your books, this was a 1. The possibles we got to figure out, but this is for sure. Diddy had a book with that juror, and I think that's why the government worked so hard to get rid of him.
I don't know. Why do they feel so sure? Why do they feel so confident that they had that juror in their hand? Like that is their juror. Like I was saying before. Should we be worried? Should Diddy team be worried that they're hanging their head on this one juror being black to get them that mistrial that they needed? Or is it that they are trying to keep that juror in there because if another juror was to come in and try to get brought up to speed, it wouldn't be enough and they would be behind and they wouldn't make the right decision. I don't know why is they so hanged up on this juror.
And I also believe that's why the defense worked so hard to defend him.
Okay. Thank you, Queen Sheba. Stand by. We're bringing you back. All right. Next guy on the stand. You know, he's been caught up in a lot of controversy. He's a hoot comedian, broadcaster, reporter, TikTok star, everybody's favorite weed smoking uncle, Secret Service Sam in the building.
What? Let's go, Armin.
How are you, Lord. Secret Service Sam? I know you've been covering this case top to bottom. How are you feeling about everything?
Man, from the windows to the wall, man. You know what I'm saying. I am up here in my secret lair right now, away from the Diddy trial. I'm feeling... I don't know about you, but like people don't understand the amount of stress just being at that court building. There is like energy that is trying to energy vampires that are trying to rob you of your soul.
Yeah.
There is like crazy homeless like
Yeah,
vagrants that
you've
try to
recently
attack you
found
with
yourself in a lot of
rollerblades.
controversy, you know, with reporting and stuff. Like, what's going on with that, Sam?
Well, let's talk about it, Armin. So, my
Without
first
bringing too
little
many people
controversy,
into it, but you know what I'm saying.
right. My first little controversy was with an unnamed YouTuber and Gene Deal.
Okay.
And we were at the court building, and everybody is, hey, God, did you hear? Did you hear? Gene Deal punched out this YouTuber, knocked him out. I, being a comedian, being new to this kind of game of journalism and whatnot, I got excited. And so I was like, oh my God, did you hear? Like you would with your friends, like, yo, did you hear Sheila came and she was like blacked out loud and this and that. And you'll kind of repeat the story. So I did that. I said, Gene Deal knocked out this guy. It turned out that he didn't knock him out. He pushed him back and there was an altercation. And so I quickly made a video saying, hey guys, I was wrong, my apologies. So that was kind of, I'd say, controversy number one.
Okay.
And then controversy, and I don't even know if this is number two, but I had reported on, and here's the thing, Remy from Hip Hop Canada said to me,
Monday CRM has the best AI features in the game.
Especially in sales.
Hands down.
So for me, email composition works like magic. You know me, I'm not a great writer, but AI...
Which we love Remy here.
Yeah, we love Remy. Remy is dope. So we're sitting out there with Emily Knows Everything, and Remy says to us, and she can vouch for this, Kanye West was in the court building. He got kicked out. And I said, come on, how do you know that? I got to be careful about this because I'm really trying to be authentic, honest, and like you said, not get caught up in anything. And he says, no. He says, I'm positive. It's a reliable source on the inside. You just got to wait. My editor is formatting the article right now. And as soon as he does that, Sam, you can post about this. And so he goes, it's good. And he posted it. The article is up. And I still have not been able to confirm or deny. So I won't say like I was wrong because I talked to a friend on the inside, a woman we know is very close with the, the camp. And she said, no, she said, you were not wrong about that he was in the area. And I think he was kind of discouraged away. I think that robe meeting they all called, I think that was around Kanye. She told me to read the transcripts because I think when they went into the robe room in the transcripts, there could be some mention of, hey, Kanye wants to come in. We're worried about what this is going to cause for the jury. How do we make this happen? So I would say that was just a little explanation of what happened.
And and we've talked behind the scenes, and I'm just going to share a little bit here. But I was telling you because I like you. You came to my birthday and everything, and I think like you handled it well because it was just like I was explaining to you your importance on this platform, and I think it's important because you are white. You know what I mean? I'm just going to be honest. You're white, and a lot of times, our people, our culture, they will platform you before they platform one of us. So I think in the situations with certain people where you got to the first controversy, it's because people, because they see white as right, and so you have to be more serious about your reporting and more accurate because you can say something and a narrative will stick on a person just because you're white and have the collar shirt. You know what I mean?
Yes. So I mean, look at me, Armin. I mean, I recognize that my white privilege, the way I look, people think I'm a lawyer when I go up into the building. When I was at your birthday party, somebody came up to me and said, are you the owner of the bar?
Yes.
I'm like, no, I'm a comedian. So just to show you what a lot of this can be sometimes. Guys, so it's just like, and I get that. And we had that talk. I look like the guy, the white guy, and people don't really know about me as a comedian that I've spent my entire career in the Black community. So like, I'm fully aware of how I come off. And I'm fully aware that also to you, getting to know new audiences, I have to show them who I am. You know what I mean? Because I realize I look like, they think I voted for Donald Trump. I look like little Trump. You
But
know,
really
it looks
quick,
like, go ahead. Sorry, I'm rambling.
Kanye West, and we're gonna get to it, and we're gonna get to our
Yes.
next person, and we're all gonna come back. But so Kanye West, I know you feel a way about Kanye West being a part of it. Why do you
Yes.
feel some type of way? Were you happy he came, or were you upset that he came?
I mean, look, that's what she said. I was upset that I missed Kanye just for the fact that we're all reporting on this thing. And so to get that video exclusive, I had the FOMO. But then also, like I said, I'm Jewish. I would say my wife's Catholic. I'm Jewish. We're cashews. But Kanye has said a lot of terrible things. He made the blinged out, I don't want to say the words. I don't know if we can say it. But everybody knows, it's like Elon doing the salutes and stuff. I just, it's like my son loves Kanye West. I love Kanye's music, but at some point I have to say, look, Sam, you got to hit skip, because the things he's saying about Jewish people, it's just unacceptable. And at what point, does the music, do we say, yo, this music is so great, but this message is so, if he was saying, I can't stand black people and or Asian people and Mexicans and this and that, I would still feel the same way. And I think we just give Kanye way too much of a pass. He walks up in court like he's innocent and a good person to stand there, and he is the only one supporting Diddy, but I can't get behind.
And I agree. Kanye West coming into the court in support of Diddy, like Kanye West has the best of reputation, the best of image, like what? That's why I'm like, bro, who the heck is Kanye West? And why would you want him on your side? Why would you want him in anywhere close to your allegations? It's like Kanye West is just like horrible imaging and PR. Like, it's crazy.
And what he's behaved
Got
in
it.
the last
All right, Sam, we're gonna bring you down. I'm gonna bring one more person up, and when we bring you right back up, you gotta say my name right, Sam. They're tearing you up in the comments.
What am I doing? Armand.
Armand, not Armand or Armand. Yes. What is that when white people can't say Armand? Why is that? Okay, Sam.
Well, people pronounce my last name Croupan.
As I went through my timeline, I realized that, I was sexualized, I think 5 years old. And I started to experiment.
Okay, we'll bring you right back, Sam. Stay back. All right, so you guys have seen her on the show before. You guys really liked her, and you guys wanted her to come back. She's my favorite girl in the building. I was gonna say white girl, but she's one of my favorite girls. I like her. She comes with the tea. She gets into some things, and she knows everything, especially when it comes to Kanye West. So we're gonna bring out my girl. Emily knows everything. Hey,
cheers. Happy Saturday, everybody.
Listen, the people loved you. They wanted you back. Okay.
How surprising.
And they really liked your vibe. So I thought that we'd bring you back. And so, Emily, you were there on Friday. Can you give us what was the rundown with Kanye? What was that? Because when the first time you were here, we weren't sure if he came to the courtroom, and then the next day he came. So tell us what happened.
Well, of course, Dad, get out of here. My dad, when I'm at my parents' house, I came home Friday after, and the first thing he said to me was, "I heard Kanye came, and I bet he didn't talk to you." He has Yeezy merch. Okay, what happened was, Dad, seriously, get out. He came to the courtroom, and I was at the party the night before with his producer, Digital Nas, threw a party, and it was advertised all over that Ye was going to come do one song. Now, I know Ye doesn't really care about anyone but himself and Diddy right now. I knew he wasn't going to come, but it was one stop away on the train. So I decided after your podcast, I went and got drunk at this party, and all of the Ye fans were there and all the Vultures merch. Everyone was waiting for Ye. Once I walked into the venue, I had a feeling in my gut, he's not coming. He's going to that courtroom tomorrow. And I was right. So he ended up pulling up to the courtroom in a Maybach. He got out, and he was wearing a very structured look for a change. Because you guys know, he's been looking messy for a while in those oversized, messy hoodies. But he was, for once, looking kind of sharp in a fitted white jacket, structured pants. He walked in with his signature, like, his little and he got that little thing on his lip that's more pronounced now that he got those titanium grills. But we couldn't see if he had the grills in because he didn't open his mouth at all. Now, there's some YouTubers online saying he talked to them.
Yeah,
That's
tell me
cap.
about that. So there was a rumor that was said, I think that you told me, I guess they were saying that he talked to a YouTuber? What happened with that? Who did he talk to?
They're saying some YouTubers are, I'm not going to name names, but there's a few YouTubers saying that he talked to them, but I guess he did shake the hand of that one guy that's always in the free puff shirt.
Okay.
He got it on video.
Okay.
But I was told that he didn't talk to anyone. Like, he was like laser vision, just walking in. And then they told him that he cannot sit. He was with King and Charlie. They told him he can't be in the main courtroom because it's going to intimidate the witness and or sway the jury. Because if any of those people are a fan of Ye, they're going to see him sitting with Diddy's family, and then they might be like, you know what, Diddy free. So
not people over here lying and said that Diddy, I mean, Kanye was talking to him, but I don't know who that was.
Maybe he did. I think
is there video footage of it?
No, I think a lot of people were just so excited. I've never seen people so excited. Like, it felt, you were there, Armand, at lunch. It was like a party. People were dancing. They were like, Ye's in the building. People were so happy. But he left after 10 minutes because they opened up a separate overflow room for him so that he could watch the trial on a monitor. He's not going to sit still. He left after, I heard 10 minutes, mainstream's reporting 8. It's either here nor there. He left. He got his photo moment. Now we need to figure out, why did he come? Some people are saying for attention. Others are saying to truly support Diddy. Let's also not forget, tomorrow he's supposed to be dropping his album Bully on June 15th because it's Father's Day and he's always mad at Kim for taking away them kids.
So wait, so did he say, did we get any sound bite from Kanye from inside or out?
Nothing.
So I did hear a video where a lady said, "Why are you here?" And he walked, and then he went into the overflow. So he didn't even talk to anybody who went upstairs. Which room do I go? Like, I'm trying to, did we get anything?
Nothing. No one could find him. Jacob from TMZ said it was like people started to play hide and seek. They were looking all over for him. And
so
no
he
one
wasn't
could
in the
find
regular overflow.
No, they wouldn't let him in there. They said, you're too famous. You have to go over here. And he didn't like being isolated, so he did. But I'm hearing now from his camp, you guys, that he's got something planned for next week.
So Kanye West, you think, is coming back?
It might not be him, but there's going to be something Yeezy, I've been told, is planned for next week to make a statement.
All right, Emily, hold still right there. We got one more guest, and that guest better put that blunt out because they are already trying it. All right, so listen, I really like him. He's lucky that he's my brother, but he's doing from.
This is Pod 5, the first fully immersive sleep system. Intelligent.
Was the hottest person. You know, I was trying to celebrate with you by saying free puff.
So are you Team Diddy? Like, what's your vibe right now? Like, how do you feel about the Jane Doe? How do you feel about the case? And what you feel like, how do you think it's going? Is Diddy getting off?
Diddy is
there a Rico here?
No. Armand, now, me and you, we met each other through this case. And I'm glad that I met you through this case because you like my favorite person on YouTube at this point. I love Armand Wiggins. I fucking
come on.
Days and days. The next day it just sounds like bitter women because they couldn't get a job, they couldn't get more money, they couldn't get something that they desperately needed from Diddy. Everybody in this situation did something similar.
Uh-oh. Jay.
Am I right?
Well, let me bring some more people. So, go ahead.
These people changed their stories up on the stand. Secret Service Sam, you sat there with me. We all witnessed the same thing. Everybody got on that stand and started changing their story, and all the testimonies got towards everyone saying, "Oh, well, we kind of did meet up with the DA or the prosecutor."
Well, everybody who was interviewed at some point was like, so why didn't you tell the government that he threatened your life over the 8 times that you met with him? And it was like, I felt like every single witness had that same through line, like where they failed to mention certain very important details, like Don Richard, definitely they were killing her with that on the stand.
You know what
Donald
I
Trump
noticed
turned
yesterday? Did you guys notice this? Every witness, when Maureen Comey thought she was going to have like a gotcha moment with Jane Doe, when her last question to her was, Jane, tell everybody why you're here today. And she thought she was going to say something like Cassie said, like, I'm here for justice. I'm here for like victims. And all she said was, because I got subpoenaed. And that's how they ended the prosecution. And then I realized she's not the only one that said that. Deontay Nash said it. So did, there's a bunch of people that said it. So did George Kaplan. His whole entire testimony was simping on Diddy. So I'm thinking that like a lot of these people are either obviously scared of Diddy or they're being forced by the government. George Kaplan literally said, the government forced me to be here.
Right. Well, what about how Amy Comey and Tenny Garagos both hugged Jane Doe?
That was what I thought. So, what was?
That's crazy. So basically, Jane Doe, after being cross-examined by Diddy's team, and she walks off the stand, she hugs Diddy's team. That's weird as hell. So it seems that she was playing both sides.
What was that
How does
about?
that work?
Let me jump in here.
Okay.
Let me jump in here for a
Go
second.
ahead, Queen. I don't know. Go ahead, Queen.
Go
All
ahead,
right, let me
Sheila.
jump in here for a second. So I think the question is, Armand, what he asked is, do they have a case? Do they have a RICO? Is there racketeering that has been established? And I think what most people don't realize is the government does not need to paint a masterpiece. All they have to do is establish within a 2-year period that he broke the law. They got him on bribery with the Intercontinental Hotel, and he paid $100,000 in cash to make the video go away. They are proving coercion when he pushed her to push through.
Hold on. Let her
me
land.
Yeah. Hold on. It doesn't matter what we think. We got to think about the law, and not just the law, not the state law, but the federal law. I'm neither for A or B, but I think a lot of people have a misinterpretation of the law because you feel like, or not you on the panel, right? But most people feel like I need, they need this extravagant evidence. That's not how it works. The FBI, the federal government has a 95% conviction rate. They only need to establish 2 wrongdoings. They got number one, a hard number one, which is bribery. And the security guard testified to that when he said there was a money bag, there was a duffel bag, there was a money counter. We got him on that. We got him on sex trafficking. You know who brought that together? Jonathan on yesterday. Jonathan Perez brought that together when he
How did he do
KK.
that? Because I wasn't there. What happened?
Okay, so now when you're thinking about enterprise, he named the names. The security handles the money. KK runs the free calls. How were you onboarded? How did you learn about hotel night? KK onboarded me. KK taught me how to set up the rooms for hotel night. KK said, this is what you do. They had text messages. KK is like, how far away are you? Clean up the room. Get this, get that. He's texting back and forth with Jane Doe. What do you need? When she's saying, I want protein shakes. I want avocado toast. I'm being facetious.
But let me ask you this. Is a jury gonna sit there and look at it like that and hear a Jane Doe where it looks like a woman is just upset because she's not getting what other women get and really see an enterprise, or are they just gonna see sex and whores and
Let me finish
scoring
this.
girlfriends?
And give me 10 seconds and I want to pass the mic.
Okay.
I think this is where you get into trouble with the jury, which is why the defense was fighting so hard to keep it diversified. A white man understands the law, which is why you have a lot of white men on the jury. Black people are typically moved by emotion. They can say she's lying, she consented, she was willing. We heard the parts. You may have the predominantly white jurors that say, I hear the law being broken. You may have the black jurors that say, I hear her saying she's consenting. There's going to be a meeting of the titans.
You ate that. I like that. And okay, let me ask you this. Do you think that it's going to be, I was feeling like it's going to be a male versus female versus like a black versus white kind of thing in the jury room. I think men might see it as free Diddy, and women might see it more of an emotional stance, like, hey,
Right.
he's a
When-
beater.
But
Right,
when
and I
it's only
came
6
out-
women.
But at the same time, for black people, I'm just saying, for me, even though I can see Diddy being a monster, it's hard when I'm looking at him and his family in there every single day, right? And his kids and his son, and I'm watching 3 white women who represent the feds, and we all taught, don't trust the feds. That's the white people. That's the police. So I'm or 6, and so in my mind, I'm like, do I really want to watch 6 white people in this man and take him away from his family? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It literally looks like it's like 6 of me.
And Armand, I remember when Jane Doe was talking about the $100,000 budget for the Turks and Caicos trip. I saw one of the black jurors on the stand just like eating his face away with his finger, because like we were all feeling, and we came out of the courtroom, and I was talking with Champ, who's there. He's another, I think, YouTuber or whatever, and we were just talking about, like you were saying, Armand.
Yes, Sam, yes.
Sorry. That we were talking about, like you were saying, men to women. For most men, they look at it as like, he gave her $100,000 budget to go to Turks and Caicos, and how in our minds we don't understand how this can then be coercion and trafficking, and paying her rent, still paying for the lawyer. Why is Diddy paying for her lawyer who was trying to put him away for life and take him away from his kids?
Because they were dating up until her arrest.
You know,
She flipped on the feds. Why don't y'all see what's going on? She flipped on the feds. Everybody who's gotten up on the
good point.
has flipped on the
Good
feds.
point.
She definitely. I agree with him on that. She definitely flipped on the feds at the end.
Wait.
That's why I feel. Hold on, let me just get this out. That's why I've been saying the entire time. This wasn't about the feds. This wasn't even about taking Diddy down. She sat up there and was scoring and was like, "Nigga, I'm gonna get you, and so I'm gonna make you sweat a little bit." But at the end, she flipped, and that's why she was like, "Don't play with me, because I told you I'm not one of them."
Yes.
Yeah, it obviously shows that she possibly flipped on the feds when she walked off the stand and hugged the defense. That was probably a bombshell to the prosecutor.
But here's the thing.
She played with him.
Well, she played with everybody.
Yes,
and that's
she did.
why I say she's playing with everybody. And that's why I said this is a sophisticated level of an enterprise. My thing is, I feel like Jane Doe's contention or her qualms is she wanted to climb the ranks of the Combs enterprise because she knew that Paul, who was an escort, Paul went from being an escort to being personal trainer officially on the pay book. She had a problem with that. Young Miami went from being a city girl to shopping sprees, family trips. She wanted to climb the ranks and move from sex or, whatever to whatever. And not only that, when y'all say she's playing with the feds, you have to keep in mind they never had a physical, violent relationship until June 18, 2024, 7 months after Cassie dropped her lawsuit. She initiated physical violence after she read the first 3 pages of Cassie's lawsuit when she saw that Cassie got $20 million for being beat up in the Intercontinental Hotel. So she slammed his head against the marble countertop.
So do you believe her?
She testified she hit him.
So you believe her, but you also you see that everyone's testimony is
Do
going
I
around
believe her
Cassie.
in what aspect? Because there's different components of her testimony.
If you're on the jury, can you convict Diddy based on what she said?
I think if you're on the jury,
I don't think they will. I don't think the jury.
I think at this point they need to replay that Cassie video one more
I
time.
agree, Armand. I think that having Cassie at the beginning, people are already forgetting about that. Like,
They need to keep replaying that Cassie video.
No, they need to stop. That is where they're losing their case at. This is not a domestic violence case. As many women in the chat who want to convict Diddy based upon that video. That video has nothing to do with this RICO.
It does actually.
She was in a consensual freak off when that happened. Consensual. And she planned, and she called the fucking escort to get on there.
Hey, no cursing.
Oh man.
Okay, it does
Yeah,
have
that
something.
passing
Wait,
guy.
or you gonna have to send me some of that
You
money
got a
you
little
got.
passionate there. You got a
It
little
does have
passionate
something
there.
to do with it.
Because they're trying to prove that Diddy kicked her to pull her back into the freak off. That's what they're proving. That's why.
No. The
Oh, really?
hardcore proof is, y'all, the hardcore proof is, does the video have anything to do with the RICO? He paid for the video to go away.
But
and
also
the forensic,
coerced
hold
her
on.
back into
That
the
is
room.
the bribe.
But no, wait a minute. Hold on. The forensic analyst that's an expert in digital audio and visual technology talked about that the file was corrupted because it was transported externally to a trash bin, to a cloud. So that's why it was grainy. So that's why it's connected. Forget about the beating. They were able to connect the dots by the money exchange and also the corruption of the file. Go ahead.
Okay, let me do one call to action real quick. Hold on, I just need to do one call to action. Shout out to the 11,000 people in here at a 9:45 at night. Wow, that's a lot of people in here for a late night Sunday or Saturday night show. You guys could be anywhere in the world, but you guys are here with us. So shout out to that. They're loving the debate. I'm seeing, looking at the comments, they're loving you see Secret Service Sam, Ratchet, they're not on really your side. Queen Sheba, they loving you, but they mad at what you said about black people not knowing the law. People are feeling some type of way about
To
that.
be honest,
You made an ignorant statement about black people.
Because you know what? I don't know the law. I don't know the law, and I'm white. I don't know the law.
Diddy is
and
gonna
I don't
walk
think
this case. Free Diddy.
I
free
saw
court.
white people on the jury that didn't. They looked like me. I don't think the white people know the law either. The jury that I saw, none of them really looked like they knew the law.
Can you elaborate on that statement of black people not knowing the law?
Can I say this? Let me rephrase that. It's not that they don't know the law. Give me a second. What I'm saying is white men are going to compare what he did to the law, and black people are going to compare what he did to an emotional argument, right? We tend to, as a whole, and I'm including myself, we tend to be a little bit more emotionally connected to the aspect of the case, where white people tend to be a little bit more connected to the legalities of the case. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think so, because I'm emotional about this case. I feel like my opinions have been based on emotion. That's why I think I'd be a terrible jury member.
Well, and I think I understand what you're saying, though, Queen Sheba, but I think the most interesting thing that you just made me think about is that we're all focused on that video. And like you said, it's not about domestic violence. And no, what it is that video proves the bribery, like you're saying, you know, so we kind of get caught up on this video is awful, but it's really about the exchange of money is where the federal government is able to drop in that, like, you know, RICO charge or whatnot.
But you guys disagreed with me, but the defense,
where does bribery come into that video? Where does bribery come into that video?
Well, no, not into the video, but what we're saying is when Diddy had, I'm spacing on his name right now, Eddie Garcia, go to Diddy's house with the hard drive, Diddy gave him $100,000. So that is where the federal government.
Based upon a RICO. So what did that have to do with the RICO, though?
Well, KK made the call. Hold on. KK made the call. He said, no, I don't have the authority to extract that video and give it to you. And then KK showed up 90 minutes after his shift began, and he got a call that saying, those motherfuckers, they're in the lobby. Hold on, let me finish because you asked. And he got a call 90 minutes later after starting his shift at 2 p.m. that day that KK showed up after he told her no. That's coercion. That's manipulation.
Wait. I wasn't there for that. So say that again slow for me. What?
When Diddy and Cassie had the exchange in the hallway, the physical violence, and the second shift of the security team and the Intercontinental took their shift, he testified under oath. He got a call, even though he was not there to work that shift. He told KK, I'm sorry, I can't give you the tape. Diddy's team showed up. And that's coercion. That's force.
And called him
manipulation.
At home, too. Yeah,
but
Eddie Garcia got a call.
Let me ask you this. Okay, let me see. Let me ask you guys this. Okay, I hear the coercion. I hear that. I feel like Cassie is the only part of this story that's clear coercion. Everything else is not clear, though.
So,
well, I guess with like Don Richard.
Do you take Kid Cudi's testimony into any?
Yes, I feel like that's true. I feel like there's no way getting around that. I mean, the police got the records where you are literally in front of the house.
But they
What year
can't
was
prove it.
Hold
There's
on,
no.
hold on.
I mean, but the license plate proved
Armand,
that.
what year was that? What year was that, Armand?
That was
2011?
2012.
Hold on, when did the
2011.
RICO, hold on, wait. Armand, when did the RICO start?
I don't know. When did the RICO start? Did there?
When did Diddy get, hold on, when did Diddy get arrested?
March 25th,
March-
2024.
Four.
Yeah.
Okay, so when does a RICO align with this?
Okay, so they've been so to
wait,
answer
no, wait, hold on, no, 2014. That's the correct answer. A RICO
No,
can
he's
only
been
go
under
back to-
investigation.
A
But you
RICO
haven't
can
been in the
only go back
courtroom.
within a
Hold on.
10-year period.
Yes, that's correct. But they
So if it
they
happened
get
in
to start the
2012, it's before
hold
the
on.
RICO. You can't charge me
But
with a RICO
they
before a RICO.
right. You're absolutely correct. But they get to determine when that clock starts, not Diddy. So for the past 6 years, hold on, let me finish. According to the past under testimony, the feds have been keeping track of Diddy for the past 6 years, which will give them a 4-year run out beyond 2025. Anything else that they come up with in the discovery
Okay,
phase.
so what I want to do now.
Can I
hold on,
say
I'm gonna let
something,
you. Hold on, I'm gonna
Brandon?
let you land. Give me 1 second. So what we're gonna do now. Well, you guys are not all at once. Not you guys understand. I'm going to allow some members of the public to come on and ask their questions and kind of chime in with some of you guys because you guys have been in the courtroom. Now, I need to let you guys know this. If you get on here and you start cursing, you say any of the alias witness names, anything trying to be funny, you'll be blocked and banned for life, and I will make sure that I give the feds your YouTube channel. Okay? So I'm gonna put the link in here. You guys can join, ask your questions. Don't be disrespectful to any of my guests. I don't care if you like.
Let's go. So Arcade, it's like a huge treasure.
Diddy, the day before the feds raided his place, she unfollowed him on March 24th, 2024. That I posted months ago, and she hit an
So go ahead, Emily, while we wait for other
I
people
just
to come on.
wanted to like calm the energy down by just throwing out a person we can all agree that we think is annoying. Kim Kardashian unfollowed Diddy the day before the feds raided his place. She unfollowed him on March 24th, 2024. That I posted months ago, and people are still. I want to know if Sheba has any clue, because people are thinking that Kanye, Corey Gamble tipped her off, or Lou Taylor. Because I don't know if you heard in the courtroom the other day, Robin Greenhill, who's TriStar Entertainment's accountant, was Diddy's accountant. That's the person behind Britney Spears' conservatorship. She's also Kim Kardashian's business manager. So somebody thinks that Kim Kardashian knew about the federal raid, so she unfollowed Diddy on Instagram the day before the raid.
That would be
could not be a
crazy.
coincidence.
Yo, that would be crazy.
Okay, let's take a caller.
That would be crazy that Kim Kardashian would know exactly when Diddy's about to be raided. That is wild. And for her to unfollow him, to like make it, there's no trace. Like that's a little unusual. Makes me feel like Kim Kardashian has something to do with that lifestyle as well with Kanye.
No,
all right.
Yeah, and Armand.
No,
I think
no one
you're-
did it before the raid.
What?
Let me know if it's loud. They're mowing yards by me. Let me
No,
know.
I can hear you. Go ahead. Just jump in.
Okay, so what I wanted to say was I fully understand what Queen was saying by Black people getting emotional. I have been on Facebook throughout this whole thing, and constantly, all people are saying is, being a freak ain't a crime. Being a freak ain't a crime. They're not actually listening to the trial. They're not actually keeping up with the facts. They're only knowing and going off of, well, if it's just about Cassie, he not going to jail. It's not a domestic violence case. And I'm like, but y'all are not piecing the parts together of what makes what he is doing a RICO. So I fully understand what she means by Black people being over emotional, or just people, period. Because we don't even have to put it on
Yeah.
Black people. I'm looking at so many people who don't get it. That's literally all I came to say. Too
Thank
many
you.
people
man,
don't
ask you a
get
question,
it.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
What makes what Diddy did a RICO?
What? Are you listening?
So
First of all, he forced Cassie back in that room. That automatically is forced and
That's what
coercion.
I
You
was
cannot
trying to
force
say.
somebody to
He
do that.
forced him back
They
Well,
can
that's
just
the
go off the
trafficking
video.
right there. That's the
Literally.
trafficking.
So the thing about it, I feel like RICO is such a difficult thing to for the average person to identify. So that's why I feel like the government needs to do a better job at making it more obvious. But as this panel explained, they don't really they don't really need to make it more obvious. They just need to show that there was at least a little bit of it done, a little bit of racketeering done. So it doesn't need to be obvious. It doesn't need to have been prolonged. Just that it was performed. Like there was that going on.
That's what I was trying to say.
That's the trafficking. But there's 3 charges though. That's the trafficking. I don't know if that is the RICO though.
And
the RICO, you got to
here's
prove
the
the
thing.
enterprise.
And
You
you
have to prove. No. So that's the trafficking. So that charge is that to me that charge is clear. The RICO, you have to prove the enterprise. So you have to prove that there was other people in play. This is why KK keeps being brought up as a co-conspirator because she adds to the enterprise.
Yeah.
That's why D-Rock is being brought up. These are co-conspirators to the enterprise.
And I think Dari,
going and buying drugs for him in order to keep their job. They wouldn't keep their job if they don't go buy the drugs that he told them to go buy. So that's racketeering right there. You're forcing other people, a part of your enterprise, to go and buy drugs for you to do your thing.
right? I think Dari. I think Dari. I think what Dari said is, hang on. I think what Dari said is absolutely correct, and I think Ratchet, what you're saying, is correct. And so I think what'll be interesting to see is the jury. Like I thought Armand, one of your guests, audience just posted, the jury, it has to be unanimous. So while we can say, like Dari said, she's right and Queen Sheba is right, the RICO, it is there to convict. They have shown some of these things on this fringe, but what my question is, are they convincing the jury of that? You know, because Queen Sheba, you're brilliant. Dari, we're all smart, intelligent people. We don't know how intelligent all those jurors are, or the layman person, like you said, Queen Sheba, people are emotional. You know, like Dari said, it's not just Black people, it's all people around this case are emotional. They think I'm a paid plant now because I'm like, yo, Diddy's winning in there. And they're like, Sam, you're a paid plant. I'm like, no, it's a sports game. And you can't get your feelings involved. If your favorite team is losing the Super Bowl, your feelings aren't going to change the score. And so that's what we'll have to wait and see is how does this jury feel? Because that's what it comes down to. It doesn't even matter what's right, what's wrong, what's been proven. It's how is that jury going to react?
And let me to add to your point, I think the problem is every witness that the prosecution has brought to some point, the last 3 have been trash. From Bonner to Mia to Jane Doe. They've all been failed witnesses, and it's gotten so muddy and so blurry to where it's like, if you're not a lawyer or you're not someone sitting in that courtroom every single day, like with this eye of like trying to really understand what's going on. If you're a member of the general public and you're like, all right, I got to pick a side. I just feel like it looks like I'm confused. It looks like all these women are liars, and they was all going.
That's
why
it makes you feel like I don't see a RICO here. The case is not that strong.
Domestic violence and Cassie, or is this a case about a RICO? That's my point. If you were a juror on this jury right now, could you convict Diddy today and say he's definitely guilty of a RICO? He deserves.
I can convict him on sex trafficking. I mean, even if he gets convicted on that, he's doing time.
Right. Yeah, and like
RICO
I said,
is one of the charges. It's 3 charges.
Yes.
So, Sheba, you were in the room with me on Thursday.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Sheba.
Sheba, you were in the room with me on Thursday. We were sitting next to each other. And do you remember how the women were reacting to Jane Doe? When Kenny Garagos would take the stand, there was 2 women, the younger women on the jury. Anytime Kenny started kind of like going in on Jane Doe, those women were they were like dialed in. And I was like, oh, those 2 women, I think, are siding with defense. And that's why it was weird that they tried to dismiss juror number 6, because everyone's saying he was making faces. I clocked him all day. He didn't even move his face. He was just sitting there bored like this. But
Emily,
remember,
did you
Sheba,
see?
Those 2 women were like really in. They were looking at it like it was a TV show. And
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, Sheba, I remember pointing them out to you.
Yeah, I wrote down too. It was like a ping pong match or tennis match, and I saw her actually laugh at Tenny, the black female juror, because she was like, and she was like, okay, what now, bit? You know, like, so I definitely saw that body.
Okay, before you start, Sheba, real quick, sorry, I just want to put out what the 3 charges are. Racketeering, conspiracy, that's the RICO. Sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, that's number 2. And number 3 is transportation to engage in prostitution. I feel like the 2 out of the 3 are clear. The transportation to engage.
What I like about this is that they're gonna go into they're gonna break down the definition of each of those, and kind of make it more clear. And then if you have been following the Diddy case, you're gonna realize how the government kind of already put a solid case together, but it's weak.
The prostitution is clear. The sex trafficking by force or fraud or coercion is clear. Now they were trying to use the force or fraud with Jane Doe. I don't know if that was really clear, but we got it with Cassie. Now the RICO, I don't know if the RICO
says an individuals. Me, or I can get you on plurals. They're wrong. They'll just go with him. The second thing is Jonathan Perez made it all come together when he said KK's in charge of the sex, the security is in charge of the money, Jess is in charge of the flying, the escorts, and Jane Doe all across the world. Fahim is in charge of this. This person is in charge of that. So Jonathan brought it all together. And the other thing you guys were talking about, don't forget about the bribery, the 100K. The 100K where KK actually gives the security guard the address of where to go to drop off the tape to receive the money.
But
so it says here, a RICO involves the racketeer, influence, and corrupt organizations. Who wants to read this? Because I can't read this shit right now.
I will.
Okay.
A RICO case involves the racketeer, influence.
Hold on. Let him read this. Let him read it.
The RICO case involves the Racketeer, Influenced, and Corrupt Organizations Act, RICO, a U.S. federal law designed to combat organized crime by targeting criminal enterprises. It allows prosecutors to charge individuals involved in a pattern of racketeering activity, even if they are not directly involved in each crime. This often involves multiple defendants and a wide range of illegal activities, potentially including fraud, bribery, extortion, and violence. Here's a more detailed explanation.
So we got bribery and we got extortion. They proved the extortion because he extorted Cassie's mom.
They only have to prove 2. Right. They only need to prove 2, don't they? Is that true?
Okay, well let him keep reading. Let him keep going.
What year did he extort Cassie's mom in?
But keep going. Let's get the whole definition out.
So key aspects of RICO: criminal enterprise. RICO focuses on prosecuting those who participate in a criminal enterprise, which can be any group of individuals, partnership, corporation, or association. Pattern of racketeering activity. A pattern is established by committing at least 2 racketeering acts within a 10-year period. Racketeering activities. The law lists 35 specific crimes that can be considered racketeering activities, including drug trafficking, money laundering, extortion, and various types of fraud.
Okay. So that is what a RICO is, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. And didn't they prove that drug trafficking?
So when they broke that down like that and detailed and kind of gave it a description of it, you're like, damn, Diddy can actually go down for this. Like, very genuinely, Diddy can actually go down for this and get the 30-year sentencing that we, majority of us, think is a little bit excessive, a little bit too much for what Diddy actually did. So that really was a killer when I seen that. So let's continue to see it because they're gonna break it down.
They're
gonna break it down some more.
There's more.
There's more. Hold on.
But wait, there's more. Enhanced penalties. RICO charges often carry severe penalties, including lengthy prison sentences, substantial fines, and asset forfeiture. Oh, wow, you're just trying to make it smaller on me, Armand.
Yeah, well, is it that follow button for your boy, man? We on our way to affiliate, baby. We on our way to affiliate, man.
Okay, sorry.
Examples of RICO cases. RICO charges have been used in cases involving organized crime syndicates, but also in cases involving corruption in government and business. A prominent example is the Kids for Cats. Oh, this, yeah, the 1-800 cars for kids. It was where judges were charged with
Kids
RICO
for Cash
violations for taking
yep.
kickbacks related to
Corrupt
juvenile
politicians,
justice
yep.
cases.
Judges.
Sorry. In essence, RICO provides a powerful tool for law enforcement to dismantle criminal organizations by targeting their structure, activities, and financial gains.
Okay, so let me do something. One more thing, and then.
But can I say
you guys
one
go
thing,
ahead.
Armand? Here's my question. Okay, so the trafficking, the taking Anton, the taking, S workers and everything, but at what point can't somebody, a wealthy man or woman, live out their sexual fantasies? So you're saying they have to stay in their home state? If I want to take my freakiness to the islands, then it's a federal charge? Like, I think that's a hard part that a lot of people don't understand. Like, Diddy just has a lot of money and he's living out his sexual fantasies. So why is that a federal crime?
Okay, read this one, Sam. Do you see this? To secure RICO conviction against Diddy.
I like how he said that. Diddy is just living out his sexual preferences, his sexual tendencies, his sexual pleasures. Like, why are we impeding into this guy's own sexual pleasures? That's literally what it is. And I think that's why everybody is so focused and so glued onto this case, is because that's what we all believe. We believe exactly that. Like, yes, man, this guy is a little bit freaky weird. And why are we in his freaking business? Like, why are we in his business? But since we're in his business, we're gonna follow what's going on in his business. But why are we in this guy's business? And I think that's what's gonna be in the juror's mind as well. Like, bro, why are we in this guy's business? Like, God forbid there's some jurors that's freaky with they lady. Like, that would be wild if they got a freaky juror. Like, come on now.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the government must prove he was involved in a criminal enterprise and that the enterprise engaged in or planned to engage in at least 2 racketeering acts within a 10-year period. This involves demonstrating that Diddy was part of a group, the enterprise engaged in a pattern of illegal activity, and that he either committed or directed those activities. Specific elements the government must prove include criminal enterprise. Prosecutors must show that Diddy was part of a group, whether formal or informal, that engaged in a pattern of criminal activity. Pattern of racketeering activity. This requires proving that the enterprise committed or intended to commit at least 2 predicate acts, specific crimes within a 10-year period. These acts can include various offenses like sex trafficking, drug trafficking, violence, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Diddy's involvement. The government must demonstrate Diddy's connection to the enterprise and the racketeering activity. This could involve showing he participated in, directed, or facilitated the criminal acts. Interstate commerce. In many cases, the government must also prove the racketeering activity affected or was intended to affect interstate commerce. In the case of Diddy, the indictment specifically mentions sex trafficking, including the alleged freak-offs or king's nights, violence and intimidation used to control victims, drug offenses, including obtaining and distributing narcotics to victims, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Essentially, the government needs to paint a picture of a criminal enterprise led by Diddy, where he and his associates engaged in a pattern of serious crimes, and Diddy played a significant role in those activities.
Oh, if that's the case, then you got yourself a RICO, because all that is clear. Yes, you do. Yes.
And like I said, I agree. Exactly how I said. I agree. If what they just explained and that what they thoroughly went through and they thoroughly described, I believe that we have a RICO and the government has done their job. Basically, they've done the job and they have proved that Diddy had his people and working under him, formally or informally, and Diddy was committing crimes with the help of his peoples. And like, if everything is correct and everything that they read, like, it is true. Like, it is what it is. Diddy, it is true.
ChatGPT needs to
got
be
a
the
Rico.
lawyer.
You got you a Rico for sure, hands
The
down.
government
You got
needs
you
to
a Rico.
hire. Yeah.
Can I speak?
Government
Go
needs to
ahead.
hire
You got you a
ChatGPT.
Rico.
No.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you
How do you not?
half of the things that we've heard gotta get thrown out the window because that clearly states it has to be within a 10-year period. The bribery took place in 2011. A lot of the stuff that happened previous
Yo,
to
that guy is stuck
2014,
on this
9 times out of 10 we're talking
this
about things
10
that
year,
happened in 2005,
these 10
2007,
year, like,
2009.
That's not true. Jane Doe was just 2 years last year. Cassie was up to 2018.
Do you believe
Mia was
Yes. And
Mia was just
Jane
2024.
Doe was running
Mia,
drugs.
yeah, or
Hold
Jane
on.
Doe. Yeah,
Jane Doe
Doe's a
was
year
running.
ago.
So let me. So hold on. Let me run it down for
Okay,
him.
but that's one thing. Okay, go ahead, Queen.
No, but so Jane Doe to Ratchet TV, Jane Doe was involved in a personal relationship with Diddy from 2021 to 2023. We have not surpassed the 10-year mark because within that
2024.
3-year period of 2024, I'm sorry.
Yes,
Hold
we
on, let me
believe
finish
Jane
real
Doe.
quick.
Okay, go ahead.
She was running the drugs from Los Angeles to Miami, and based on the potency of the drug, you can only get it from LA. He lived in Miami. He has access to Colombians. Hold on. Wait.
I need to
Let me finish. Hold on. Y'all just give me a couple of seconds.
Let her
please.
land. Let her land.
Yes, golly. So
damn.
listen.
Yo, I like how
based
she
on the
present, bro.
drugs
I
that
definitely
he
like how she
wanted,
presents.
You remember she talked about doing ecstasy with him? She says she's done it before, but she never did his ecstasy. Because when she took it, she hit that sand. You remember she said that ecstasy hit her so hard she fell
That
in the
Obama.
sand. So the drugs that he wanted originated from LA. So that was between 2021 and 2024. We have not entered into the 10-year run out. That's all I want to say.
Okay.
And I have
Yeah,
to
he
say,
talking about this 10-year run
I
out.
think I want to say something to Ratchet TV. Ratchet TV, I have something to say.
So this guy on this panel is saying basically the racketeering, although like they just went over every detail, every description of the parts of the predicates in racketeering that we are looking at, and what we've came up that Diddy they did a great job presenting it because I see a lot of the things that they presented. Now this guy's saying, but a lot of the things was a little more than 10 years behind with 10 years ago. But I think they're saying that when you make a racketeering, you can pull things from 1999 if it helps the case showing that this supports the crime that was already being done and still being done currently.
Say to you, I hear you. I understand why you're feeling like this because today I was at a local library in an all-white, small, hunky-dory town, and I went in there with my big mouth and started talking about Diddy, and all of these white people said, he's got to be arrested because we need to make an example out of him. And right there is what I think they are doing, because what you said earlier is what Diddy's doing is what a lot of rappers are doing. It's not
a lot
but
of
it
rock
still doesn't make
musicians
it
have
legal. No, but I mean it's still a crime.
I know.
No, it's not.
There's rappers ordering prostitutes.
No. See, it's not just having sex. It's the coercion in it. It's the trafficking. It's the prostitution.
These girls are
no, Armand,
the crime of it.
They loved it.
There's politicians, white politicians that are engaging in coercion too, and I think that's why the public is mad because they're like.
When I don't want to do a freak off and you threaten to stop paying my rent, that you're coercing me. You're defrauding me.
He is still paying.
No, I know.
When you kick my ass and drag me and knock me out and extort my mother for $20,000 because you mad.
That was before 2016, 2014. That was
no, I think Ratchet TV is just saying that like there's other people, like Kanye literally posted this on March 8th. Everybody hits women. Hold on, what did he say? He said, "Oh my God, Puff, we love you. Puff, we love."
Well, hold on.
He said, "This is why this is why Kanye showed up to court because he has a lawsuit against him right now." And he's claiming that the woman suing him is extorting him. He said on March 18th, how every N-word hit a girl before, but everybody's so mad at Puff. Cassie trying to extort Puff. Cassie came to Puff and said, give me $30 million or I'm going to release a tell-all book. That looks like extortion to me. Then she replied by reposting Cardi saying, yay, shut the F up. Earlier, he said, my support of Puff is completely selfish. I am supporting Puff because I am selfish and I need to find out who is trying to take down black moguls because white men are doing the same. So I think that's where that side
Well,
of the argument
Kanye's taking himself down. But...
Okay, hold on.
No, Kanye is taking himself down. Kanye do a good job by taking himself down. I'm not even gonna lie. Kanye don't need no help by destroying his own reputation. Kanye does a great job. That's why I'm like, bro, I think it hurt Diddy more than it did him any good having Kanye come out and try to support him. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Thing is blinking on the back end. It's so many people trying to get in here, and so it's causing my freaking thing to glitch. We are on fire tonight. We have over 12,000 people in the chat. The girls came out for the Saturday night. You guys are on one of the littest shows, okay, on YouTube, and I got some of the littest people in the motherfucking building, okay? So thank you guys for being here. Let's take some more people now, baby. You come on here crashing out. I am blocking you, okay? So come on.
Armand, one thing I just want to say, all of us can talk one at a time.
Yes. Go ahead, Tom.
Try not to interrupt each other.
Thomas.
I am so full.
Yo, he had to make sure he get that out there.
I can't.
He had to make sure he get that out there. He had to be like, man, yo, we are not talking cohesively, bro.
Full, Armand.
Okay.
I'm so full tonight. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean?
Yo,
like,
if this guy come on here and
just,
talk about, bro, he's so full, bro. Pause.
I'm on a roller coaster ride right about now. Like, you know what I mean?
So
Like,
how do you feel? Come on, spit it out.
No, for real, bro. Dude, come on this bit and just start like venting, like, oh, I just cannot, like, please, like, just take a wheel, like, bro, come on, get to the freaking point, bro. Like,
my
bro,
thing is,
like, bro, come on, man.
my thing is, come Monday, that basketball player, that white basketball player.
They talk about Brandon. What is his name again? Brandon. What is his name again? That basketball player. I was just looking for him. Shit. His name is Brandon. Shit.
Player, he's gonna shut it down because that's the last of the jury right there. He's gonna shut the RICO down on period.
On period.
Who's the basketball player?
Yeah,
I wasn't there Friday.
I don't know his name, but on Monday he's gonna shut it down. I don't know his name, but
I thought it was a baseball player.
He's a basketball player.
I don't know why.
See,
why he had to, why he did that?
You didn't hear it from me.
Why he did that?
No, but he's a basketball player.
First of all.
Who's coming
Bro,
Monday?
why he had to do that? Why he had to do that? That was a little extra. He did not have to check it like that. It's a basketball player. Thank you.
He's gonna shut the RICO down. He's the last of the jury, the trial, and he's gonna shut everything. He got all the receipts, Armand.
And he's supposed to be in the freak off, or somebody help me out. Who was the
No, he was down with Diddy. He got all the receipts. He got all the tapes, everything.
The drug
he's gonna
deal?
shut on this RICO. Yes.
Okay.
He's gonna shut it down Monday. Wait till Monday, y'all. He's gonna shut it down.
I'm gonna be tuned in. Best believe I'm locked in after work on Monday. We locked in on him, man. We talking about it.
Where's
I'm updating y'all boys, bro. You trust me? I'm gonna be locked in for it. I'm gonna be locked in for it.
I know. So what's up with that? Ratchet is
So
in
wait,
the
hold
studio
on.
now.
Did we
Make sure y'all boys hit that follow button, man. I'm gonna be locked in on it, man. On Monday, tomorrow. We're
Who
gonna
is
be giving
this?
the
You guys are
updates.
supposed to be up on it. What happened? What basketball player is coming on the stand Monday?
That's news to me.
Yeah, that's news to me too.
I don't know if that's a TikTok conspiracy or if he has some tea that I just missed when I was like distracted, but I never heard about that.
Okay, and Ratchet, if you could turn your camera sideways, Stinky, thank you. We're gonna remove you right
I've been
now.
told there's gonna be a baseball player that's coming to the stand.
Okay, Queen Sheba, what is the tea? Do you have that in your notes? Who's coming Monday? I can't hear you, boo. No, I cannot hear you. She gonna bring it back. Okay, Ratchet, you just not gonna listen to me, huh? All right, let's
And
bring
also,
somebody
when
else
we know
up.
Friday, juror number 6 was dismissed. You know, obviously because he lives in NYC, but his girlfriend and baby live in Jersey. So I don't know why they're kind of flipping on him that much. Just kind of, or thinking he's lying that much. Like Xavier Donaldson was saying there's so many people in New York who live in New York and then, go to visit their family in Jersey or whatnot.
Yes, we went over there. Okay, hey, Okay, you playing
Whoa.
games?
It's A
Excuse
Sam.
me.
Can you hear me?
Excuse me. I had Mexican last night.
Yo.
Okay, the basketball player he's talking about was Paul,
that
the
could
drug
be
dealer.
him.
The one that got locked up the first
Oh, there it is.
time.
Yeah, Brandon
That's
Paul.
the
Brandon Paul.
young boy. Syracuse player.
That's the mule. That's the
Okay.
mule. That's Diddy's mule.
That's who he's talking
That's
about.
supposed to be
he's coming
taking a
to
stand
Miami.
on Monday.
Yeah,
Allegedly.
on YouTube they got a video of him.
Cap, I've been looking
Queen,
on
we can't
YouTube.
hear you.
You can't hear me?
No, I can hear you. I can't
Cap,
hear
she
Queen
said there's a
Sheba.
video on YouTube, and I've been looking on there.
But go ahead. So go ahead, boo.
I was saying, if you go on YouTube, they got a video of his interrogation, and he talks about everything and like how it's more than Diddy, it's a lot of other people involved.
Cap,
But what
I
I
don't see it.
want to know, if racketeering is the biggest thing, why aren't they like locking up the doctors that allowed him to get those prescription pills under Frank Black?
Right.
Yeah, where are those doctors at? And see, here's the
Well,
thing.
that's why. Where are the doctors and where are the drug dealers?
That's a good
You know?
question.
Where
That's a
is
good
KK?
question.
But I feel like they're
Personal,
building a
right.
case against KK and D-Rock because they're not talking.
Unless KK gets up on that stand and flips on Diddy, unless D-Rock gets up on that stand and
And
flips
they're
on
not.
Diddy,
I don't think they're
you
going
don't
to.
have a RICO. Unless those people get up on the stand and flip. And Gina was the one you needed, and she's gone. Gina's gone. You don't got
Yo.
D-Rock. You don't got
Fox
KK.
Gaming.
You don't got Hard
Thanks for
Fear.
the follow, baby.
Those are your four people to give you a RICO.
Thanks for the follow,
And how
Fox
about
Gaming, man. We
Rihanna,
appreciate
even
you,
when they
man.
were, like, they totally
Yo,
destroyed
welcome
her
to the
on the stand.
Welcome to the crazy
when they were
game. Welcome to
talking
the
about
crazy
hanging
game,
her
baby.
over
Welcome to the crazy
balcony.
game.
Yeah, they
And
did.
then she took the picture because even people were saying Diddy is not tall enough to physically hold her up like that, where her feet were dangling. And then also, they were saying the picture that she took, the metadata on the picture was September 26th, but Diddy was performing in New York on September 26th. So, you know, Miss Moreland said, answer me, how can somebody be in two places at one time? And then she said, no further questions. And I was just like, everybody in that courtroom, at first I was like, that girl got held over that balcony. And then after that, I was like, did she?
Right, me too. Every time. But I think what's interesting is, though, I feel like the defense has that edge because they always come in and are able to poke holes. So what's going to be interesting within the next 2 weeks, if once the defense gets on and presents their case, will the prosecution be able to do the same thing?
Right.
And if they can't, they're going to lose this case.
I agree.
It looks like a bunch of people got
I
immunity.
agree. Yo, I agree 100%. I agree 100%, bro. Now that the prosecution is ending their now that the prosecution is about to put their case to rest, and now the defense is about to take their is about to present their case. If Diddy team has been doing an amazing, terrific job plugging holes in all of the people that have came and testified for the government. For the government to look as competent. For the government to look as competent. And for the government to feel like they are winning and still leading in this case, they have to be able to mimic and do the same thing. Meaning, whoever Diddy's defense present as a witness, the government better come in there and make them sweat, make us doubt, make us put, like, the government better come in there and do some damage, because Diddy team has been doing damage ever since the beginning of the trial. Like, they have not been playing any games.
And a bunch of people are on Diddy's payroll.
Yes.
Go ahead, Bonnie.
Hi. Y'all hear me?
Hey, what's going on? We can hear you, bro. Talk to us.
Armand, I love you. Emily, I love you. Sam, I love you. And Queen Sheba, oh my gosh, that commentary yesterday, you went there, okay? The Rico, it's a week, and oh wait a minute, Ratchet, I love you too.
Salute.
So listen, okay, my take. It's a weak Rico, okay? Propaganda.
A
We all know
Rico.
that
A
black.
Yes, I agree. Weak.
We all know that
It's a
black
weak
men
Rico.
can't get away with the same stuff that other people of other nationalities do. Okay, they're gonna throw the book. They're gonna throw them under the jail. They're gonna. So it's a weak Rico. I'm not saying that Diddy didn't perform bad deeds. Okay, I really honestly think he needed to be stopped because he was off the chain. Okay, so God just intervened.
Hi, I'm John Dinsmore. I'm the instructor for the UCF Split Stack Software Development.
For him. However, this Rico thing to send him to jail for over 30 years or whatever it is, no. Where's the other people, like you said, Ratchet? Give me KK. Come on, give me some other people. He's not in this alone. Come on, Queen Sheba, talk about them layers. This is more than Diddy. Okay, come on, y'all. Why everybody got immunity? Okay, and let's parallel it with mob cases. I did a little research, but I still need to go do some more. No, they want the top man. Who's the top man in this Rico? It's not Diddy.
It's not Diddy.
It's not Diddy. It's
right.
If I dare say,
Tommy Mottola is over Diddy.
If I dare say, it's Lucifer.
Clive
Then it's Hollywood. Then it's the Freemasons. Then it's the Illuminati. Then and the mob. Because they're all.
You understand? You understand?
This is a lifestyle. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. Let me calm down. Thank you, Armand. I love you. Okay.
You're right. How does
what
Tommy
about the
Mottola's name not get mentioned in any of this? Do you know who Tommy Mottola is?
Yeah. Jackson said he's the devil. So he's the devil.
How does Clive Davis not get in this? Tommy Mottola, Quincy Jones, R.I.P. But what are we talking about here? This is way bigger than Diddy. This was about what evidence Diddy had in his house. When they went and raided his house, they didn't give up what they got in there. They hid everything that they really got because they want to sweep that under the rug and blame it all on Diddy.
That's what is being alleged.
From his house.
They are hiding all of the good stuff.
Because they got it on presidential candidates. They got it on Newsom from California. They got him on all the politicians, all of the higher ups. Diddy had evidence on all of them. They raided Diddy's crib.
I do think that's interesting because we only got the stuff that Cassie gave, but you guys raided Diddy's house and got all this information.
It's all about Cassie. But they said they had mountains of evidence.
Hold on. And keep in mind, they came by boat.
But remember, they said before this, they had mountains of evidence on Diddy. Mountains. This was their words. We got mountains of evidence. Where's the evidence? Where's the mountains of evidence?
He had 2 properties on Star Island, 1 star and 2 star, both where they were having freak-offs. The prosecution made a point to say that they just didn't raid 1 Star Island, and King has a song where he says the feds raided the wrong place.
So where's the evidence?
With all the stuff with the celebrities,
and that's a good question. And that's what Mark Agnafilio was arguing on Friday with the special agent when he says the agents have the ability to lie and be corrupt. Because when he questioned them regarding their standard protocol with seizures and searches, they did not document before, during, and after. So what he's saying is, how do we know that you didn't put the guns in the house? How do we know that you didn't plant the evidence? Because you don't even have evidence to show what was there before you got there. You in the process of during, seizing, and also after what it looked like.
Queen Sheba, that was the craziest testimony to me when the DHS guy, when they nailed him, they're like, you don't take pictures before you go in and disturb a crime scene. And you would think, like, that's just 101. In the first day in school, and he goes, no, we didn't. So what's crazy is the AR-15s are on the ground. And then they show, well, there was another Pion that was found in the security room.
They weren't even
he
put
says,
together.
yeah, but these were up. Right, let me finish. So they weren't put together, and they were up on this second shelf in that closet. Well, how do we know that? You didn't take a picture. We only have a picture of them on the ground. How do we know where they were? They could have been in that security room, which would have been plenty normal. And let's just to take it further, the serial numbers are scratched off. The guy testified and said it's almost impossible to link a gun to somebody when there's no serial numbers. So even through all that, they couldn't even link the guns to him in his home.
This is a weak Rico, bro. Weak.
And then the high heels. Remember when the guy picked up and he showed the pair of red high heels? I'm like, what are we doing? What does that have anything to do? It's like, and here's my wife's lingerie. Here, it's Victoria's Secret. It's like, what are we doing here?
Take away the Cassie testimony for 1 second. Outside of that testimony, what do you have on Diddy?
Nothing.
Because everyone's testimony that everyone feel like it
that
was
was
so
a big,
compelling
that was a
all
big point he
linked to
made.
Cassie's.
That was
And
a
then once you do
major
the
point
math,
that he
you
made
start to-
because honestly, if you take away the Cassie testimony, what do you really have? You really don't have a strong enough case. Your case is really nothing at that point. So removing Cassie case turns the way this whole thing is seeming, but that's not the case as well.
See, all of these people from Deontay to Mia to all of the other people, they're either friends of Cassie, they look at her like a sister, and they all spoke to her before she testified, during her testimony, and after she got off the stand.
And
so
they
everyone was able to link it.
Yeah.
Everyone was able to piece their stories together.
Collusion. Hey, Armand, I might have to get rolling.
Okay, it's okay, Sam, but thank you so much for coming in, Secret Service Sam. We've got another guest coming in. We've got our girl,
Hey,
Secret Service.
and I just want to tell everybody, Armand, how you said people more weight because of the report honestly on this case. And I am an appreciator, not an appropriator. So
Thank you, Secret Service Sam. And you know, when I get back into town, I'll have to come sit on your podcast because you know we're neighbors.
Yeah,
Me,
come
you
on
and
in.
Emily, we all live in the
I
same
know.
city.
That's crazy.
Come on up.
So we
I'm in
might
the
need to do a
podcast
pod.
studio now. Come on up. You know, I'm in the studio.
So you know, have a great day. Have a lot.
Be the worst. You know what I mean? Sorry for the bird. Love you
Great
guys.
having you. Secret.
So basically they've been saying a lot of good things. So they broke down each definition of the racketeering, and we came to the realization that the government did present a racketeering case. Is now just, did the jury understand it, and are they understanding it? And the government just harping on it and making it more and more obvious, because right now it wouldn't be as obvious, and it would be, it's because they did present a RICO case, but the RICO case is, in our opinion, is weak.
Let me see. I think there's somebody else.
I have to hop off and tell. It's that Jimmy Iovine was named in this case.
So yes,
during
Jimmy
Capricorn
Iovine was
Clark.
named in this case, and that's when Capricorn Clark. No, not was it Capricorn Clark? No. It was one of the Diddy's assistants that she couldn't get a job after getting fired from Diddy, but when she finally got a job opportunity, it was with Jimmy Iovine. And when she went to interview with him, he said, "Hey, this stuff that you got going on with Puff, leave it alone. If you don't, you have problems. Here's $1 million." And that was all that we heard about Jimmy Iovine. They never said anything else on
Testimony. So people wanted some big music industry names. Sheba's nodding her head. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. Jimmy Iovine had a Interscope. Allegedly, Capricorn said after she was fired by Diddy, she was seeking out other opportunities in the entertainment industry, and she was invited to Interscope by Jimmy Iovine and Larry Jackson. And when she got to the office, they said to her, "Hey, you better not mess with Puff or it will end badly for you." So that's Jimmy Iovine helping Diddy carry out the RICO, but why is he immune? Like, why is this guy that's huge in a gatekeeper in the music industry? She had none of the news outlets even reported that. They're slipping it under the rug when it's a white executive on top of the music industry. Sheba, and Armand, what do you guys think about that?
I'll let you and Ratchet take that because I'm trying to get Miss Sylvia in here really quick.
I agree with you. I agree. I think the government is working very hard to keep particular names outside of this case. And I don't know if that's because they plan to come after these people a little bit later, and they just need them to incubate just a little bit longer, stay warm, feel comfortable, feel safe, so that you don't start tampering.
They did nothing to Vince McMahon. Where's Vince McMahon in this? Vince McMahon did a lot worse than Diddy did.
Look at the Abercrombie guy. I did a whole thing on that. That trafficking ring was so messed up. I spent hours deep diving that case. It is sickening what they did to those Abercrombie models. They were underage too. And guess what the guy's pleading now? Dementia. And it's getting no media coverage. Because whenever I'm talking about Diddy, people are like, you need to bring up the Abercrombie. I'm like, Mike Jeffries, I've talked about him. He's a sick man, but guess who sponsored him? Les Wexner, who was Epstein's only client. So these
But
people are
where's the?
protected.
Thank you for bringing it up. Where is the Epstein list? We're so
never
busy
getting
talking
it.
about Diddy. Everyone was talking about kids. Diddy don't got nothing to do. There's no kids that have been mentioned in this case at all. But the only kids that have been mentioned are the ones that was on the island with Mr. Jeffrey, and that's swept under the rug. And we're so
That was a
busy
big
consumed
media.
with
That was a
Diddy.
PR stunt by Pam Bondi. That was bullshit. We're never getting the list.
We're never gonna
I
get
used
that.
to work for a woman that got the binder, and it's a big. I don't work there anymore. She was one of the chosen influencers that got that binder, the Epstein files. That was a big nothing burger. Yeah, we're never getting that list. And now Cash Patel's on Joe Rogan saying, "Oh, it's really not. The list is nothing." It's like, what?
No, the list is everything, and we're not talking about that list because we're so consumed with Diddy and Cassie.
Yep.
This whole case is about Diddy beating Cassie.
Yep.
Period, point blank. Everyone who's jumped up on the stand attests to Diddy being abusive. We can't hear you if you're talking, Armand. I don't know if you're talking to us, Armand.
Oh,
All right.
Armand, I think you're muted.
Oh, I'm dragging it. I'm over here, and it should be.
Yeah. Come on, man.
I think if anyone's watching, there's a lot of people that watch this. If you're unfamiliar with the Abercrombie case, look it up, because what that man did, it's sickening, and it all leads back to Les Wexner and Epstein. And it's at Limited Brands. You guys, it's if you shopped at Abercrombie in the 2000s, you'll like the case.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, make it quick. Make it quick. We got 10 minutes.
Okay, I'm on here. All right, in my professional opinion, as a person that has worked in the drug courts, person that is a therapist, and I am also a victim. So I believe he is gonna go to jail. It might not be for everything on a RICO, but he is going to jail. My other opinion is we all have choices. No matter what their situation is, they had a choice, and it was all backed up. They wanted fame, they wanted the money, but I do believe Diddy is wrong for the things that he did. In my professional opinion, he has an issue with his mother. Something happened to him when he was younger. I believe he hates women, and he takes what he does. He does that to take it out on women because he cannot live in his truth. So what he's doing it through the females, but he hates women. And that's my opinion. And Armand, I am so happy for you. It was so good.
Do you think he's gay?
Hell yeah.
I think he's bisexual.
Man.
I think he's bisexual, and there's nothing wrong with it. But I think he's
Gay
afraid
as
to
hell,
live.
man. And ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
That's Monday CRM. It all started with the quickest
live in
just
his
let us know,
truth.
Diddy.
So, like I said, I
live in your truth,
and stuff
baby.
like that, and I work with people that have been abused. So I believe something happened to him when he was younger. It has something to do with his mother, and it made him hate. It made him hate women. He takes it out on women. He lives out the fantasy through the women.
Wow.
Yes, I think he's gay.
You're gonna have to get
I
this
think
together
he's
real
gay.
quick.
I do think he's gay, and I think a lot of people get sexuality confused because a man may penetrate a woman and enjoy her for 15 minutes.
Ooh,
That
wee.
oh
Not
no, he's
15
bisexual.
minutes, man.
No, he has no desire for women whatsoever in a normal way. Intimacy, emotional connection, family, none of that. Do I think he's gay? Absolutely. I think women means to an end to be.
Okay, let me ask you this though, and
And I think he's
with a freak off though? Hold on, let me answer this. Is there anything wrong with a freak off?
No.
Not if it's consensual. Let's have them.
But that's the thing.
No,
You're
there's
saying
nothing.
some people are
No,
consensual.
because if you did it, Armand, and if I did it, and you got caught by the local police in your station, in your state, you would be charged with solicitation of prostitution, which is a misdemeanor.
But
that's why people actually said, Diddy's legal team said that they actually hope that, sorry, not Diddy's legal team, someone on Diddy's team, said they think if Diddy could just walk away with the sex trafficking charge, he'd be happy, because it's really not that. I don't think the time is, that's what they said, the time when they would love if he could just get that. They're way more worried about the RICO.
And do we realize now that, let's just say, we're all YouTubers, Papa, you got some money. You guys are all in relationships and stuff, but if you weren't, could you imagine that flown out culture? Say you fly a guy out or you fly a girl out. Do you know that if she feels uncomfortable and you flew her out and you guys had sex, all of a sudden you could be charged for sex trafficking? I had no idea.
Yeah, that is crazy. That is crazy because like I feel like we're in an age where a lot of people are flying people out, and people would love that flown out culture. But to know that it's that easy that somebody can flip on you and it turns into sex trafficking just because they were flown out and y'all had a disagreement and they just kind of didn't see things your way or kind of just want to kind of make things difficult for you, and they could easily said that he was sex trafficked because you flew them out. God dang it, that's wild.
Pay for her? Is that only if you pay?
No. So if I fly like a subscriber out and we have, and then all of a sudden 2-3 years from now they just make up some crazy thing about how they were uncomfortable having sex with me, then I have a case. They have a case.
No, it goes hand in hand, because that's why I was saying, like, this is what every rapper does.
But here's the thing. But every female wants to get flown out.
Every guy wants to fly you out. Every dude with money doesn't mind flying a girl out of town out to have some fun.
So how do you protect yourself if you're a person of stature and money and
record everything? Everything should be recorded. Yes, record it all.
That's the solution.
Record
everything.
You said I did what?
Hold on. Here's where it gets complicated. It's not about the sex. It's not about being flown in. It's about the length of the activity, because you are not physiologically able to continue for 3 days straight. The problem is where he gets in trouble. He forced her to go 3 days straight, nonstop, under the influence of drugs. Hold on, let me finish. Under the influence of drugs. At one point, even though she consents in the beginning, once you reach a certain level of being incoherent, you don't have the rationale to consent beyond that point. That's where they're going to get her.
Do you truly believe? No, seriously,
it's not about what I believe. It's about what's the law.
It does matter. It does matter. Let me finish. I'll let you cook all day. Let me cook real quick. So look,
I'm gonna let you finish.
You're telling me you believe these women were truly forced to do what they wanted to do. When hold on, wait. It clearly shows between this last witness, Jane, she loved it. Matter of fact, she had freak offs after Diddy. She was still doing it with other rappers after Diddy. She loved every moment of this until she figured out Young Miami was getting that bag and your ass wasn't. Young Miami.
That's how and that was important, bro. Like, I guess when you're in that type of lifestyle and you have several different women, bro, this is important. I guess, bro, you gotta treat them all the same. You can't treat one better than the other and one less than the other, because this is when things like this start happening. Jealousy, greed, envy, all of that starts happening, and then now you have her on the stand killing you as you slowly, actually killing you slowly as you sit there, as she freaking elaborates on your deepest secrets and elaborates on your deepest desires and elaborates on your sexual preference and elaborates. Bro, if you in this type of lifestyle, bro, if you're promiscuous, bro, if you're messing with different chicks or you got different dudes, like, bro, treat them all the same, because it can end you, bro.
Living the life that all y'all ever wanted to live. Now it's a problem that Cassie got 20 million and Young Miami is getting
and
bag.
She tight on Young Miami,
everybody
bro.
Has an
She's
issue.
tight about Young Miami.
No.
You truly believe these women were forced?
No, but you won't let me answer. And I think my content is all about that. I keep saying she said she consented. We've nailed that down on my page. The point is, at some point when I'm loaded up with drugs, there is a law that takes place as a man, whether you believe it or not. You cannot have sex with a woman that's under the influence at a particular
She wanted
level.
the drugs.
It doesn't at first. But when she starts, let me finish. When she starts to vomit,
dude don't let nobody talk, bro.
I can't do anymore. And then you say,
what was Diddy's response?
Let me finish.
Yo, dude,
she's
about to tight, bro.
Baby, let me finish.
Dude up tight.
His response
God dang,
was,
Diddy must
keep
be paying
going,
that
baby.
nigga.
You got this. Don't quit on me now. Let's go. Cross the finish line. Stay in the light.
Stay in the light is crazy.
That's a Rico? That's a Rico? So you vomit, and I'm telling you, hey, just like old times, keep up the good work. We've been doing this. This ain't something that's new today. We didn't just start this today. You've been doing this, and you've been comfortable with this. You've probably thrown up prior to this and previous to. It doesn't matter. You've done this plenty of times. Get the fuck up and let's do what we always do. This is
Yo.
All right, we're gonna switch gears
Yeah,
a little
yeah,
bit.
he don't want nobody cursing on his platform.
I know that's why
He don't want people cursing.
Hold on, we're gonna switch gears.
Dude, this is the second.
No, hold
This is
on.
like
I
the
need you
10th
for
time
5 more
dude
minutes,
cursing.
and then we go for 2 more. Okay, we're gonna wrap it up.
Picture this: you're sitting in
that's
your living
funny,
room.
man.
Your neck is still
Dude is
stiff
uptight,
from that
man.
recent car
Dude
accident
is
you
really
had. The
emotional.
insurance adjuster.
He's
But I need
very
to get to
passionate about this Diddy case, man. He's really like in really feeling embedded in this.
Kanye piece now.
Yeah.
Do we think that Kanye West was the freak off that Jane Doe was at, and do we think that she just flew out and ended up at a hotel?
Bro, I said this earlier. Jane Doe says she. So Jane Doe alleges that she went out for with a rapper and his then girlfriend / wife birthday. They went to plays. They went to parties. They went to parties, the clubs. They had a good time, and then they went back to the hotel. When they went to the hotel, the said rapper girlfriend / wife was getting screwed by the escort, the entertainer that they used to have. And then she flashes them. She flashes the room. The rapper comes to her and tell her that, hey, I always wanted to screw you. She said that was it. That was the end of it. And she flashed the room, and they're like, why the heck did you flash the room? She said, it was just the vibe that was in the room. I guess the vibe that was in the room was so freaky. So come to find out that she said she was only there for 20 minutes. I feel like that she was there for longer.
Of course, I do believe she was.
Do you
I
think
feel like she was there for
but
longer.
I got some secret information that she may have allegedly participated in the freak off. Because think about it. She said she was there for 20 minutes. I just want to break this 20 minutes down. In 20 minutes, you managed to get flirted with, have a conversation with an escort that was sleeping with somebody, flash your titties, and dance. All of that in 20 minutes.
I mean, I know a girl that took her top off for Kanye and Bianca at the Chateau Marmont. So I think she's and then things got crazy after that.
But do we think that was Kanye and Bianca?
If the freak-off happened on January 7th and 8th, yes. People are now saying it was January 24th. I don't know if that's true. I need to read the transcript over again, but I definitely think so. I mean, yeah, like, they're already having their own freak-offs. Everybody knows about it. They're having them in Italy. They had one in Italy. Everyone knows about the freak-offs.
Kanye does freak-off? Are you saying that Kanye does?
Yes. Kanye went to a Ritz-Carlton in Florence or Milan, some Italian city, and requested for the entire room to remove the furniture.
Yo, that's some rich nigga shit, bro. Yo, I ain't even gonna lie. That's some rich people stuff. Yo, he called the hotel and told him, yo, remove all of the furniture and the what? What? Yo, that is some rich people activity, bro. Like, how you call a hotel up and tell them, yo, all the furniture in the room, bro, I don't need them shits, bro. Like, just take them shits out. That is crazy, bro.
Mattresses could fill the entire room, and they were like, sorry, that you're not doing that. And then he was like mad, and then they just wrote it off as a cultural difference.
So is that why you think him and Kim broke up? Because she wasn't with that? Because now that I'm thinking about it, the way he presents Bianca is kind of like, you want her?
I think Jay and Kim were having freak-offs, but they were signing NDAs just like Will Smith and Jada. That's what I think.
Oh, Will Smith and Jada? And it's a witch.
I knew it. Are messy with it. That's the problem. And the girls that are coming in and out and the male escorts that are coming in and out, I think they're messier with it. Where Kim and the Kris Jenner, they had them signing them NDAs. And then I think the sex eventually stopped. That's why he was in Wyoming all the time. That's just a hunch.
But the difference between Kim Kardashian and Bianca is Kanye has control over Bianca. He had no control in the Kim Kardashian situation.
All you gotta do is
you've never used samples like this before.
Let me show you why I stopped.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised, actually. Bianca talks back.
I think
Actually,
Kanye
this
has.
is one thing I'm going to leave you guys with. People keep forgetting. Bianca is his power of attorney. Unlike Cassie and all these other girls, Ye gave Bianca access to all his money. Anytime he gives someone
Really?
a car, Bianca has to sign the document. My friend got a car from Kanye. Guess whose name was on that document? Bianca Sensori. She has is going to turn on Ye. I don't think unless she's subpoenaed, I think she likes the lifestyle. I think she's very
She gonna
willing.
turn.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. How does Kanye West get a
Bianca turn on Ye. I don't think Bianca will turn on Ye. I don't think Bianca would turn on Ye, man. Unless the government forces her to, I don't believe Bianca would turn on Ye. Like, she's too committed.
way with freak offs, expose all these crazy things?
Because he
but
made
other people
graduation.
can't.
Because he made
He's
graduation.
It's called federal government documentation. 6 years of undercover. I think Bianca's a plant.
Well, we talked about that.
I agree.
We
I
talked about
agree.
that.
I agree. No, I agree with that. I
A
agree with that.
honeypot handler. A honeypot handler, people think.
See, but why would Kanye give her power of attorney unless she was sent in to do a job?
And also, Kanye hired a private investigator to investigate the Kardashians for sex trafficking while he was with Bianca. That's a lawsuit nobody talks about. You know what else nobody talks about? The Lauren Piscota lawsuit that's against Ye, where she accuses him of trafficking. And in the lawsuit, Lauren alleges that Bianca was the one coordinating the orgies. Remember that Yeezy Shades photo shoot where they all had the Yeezy Shades on for Gap?
Mm-hmm.
If you guys go and read Lauren's lawsuit, she said that if in between the photos, people had to take turns sucking Ye's D and another guy's, and that Bianca was the one that was like, all right, you're next, come here. Lauren alleges some crazy stuff in that lawsuit, but nobody talks about this lawsuit. And guess who's representing her? Lisa Bloom, who was in the overflow room the first month of the trial, and she was like, we're gonna get Ye, we're gonna get him. She said that.
Wow.
I think me and Sheba said it the other day. Sheba is very smart. Sheba's 10 steps ahead of me. She said the feds are probably already building a case against Ye, and that's why they protected his name if he was the one in the freak off, right?
Okay, because that was interesting. Why? The last thing. Why did they protect the name of the guy and the girlfriend that was in the freak off through this whole case? They did not protect anyone's name. They were in the defense was itching to get out Young Miami.
Remember,
And listen, and the defense led us to water with the rapper. He's an iconic rapper, very famous. It's like just say who it is.
Because
like
Maureen Comey said, no, we've got to protect this guy.
But why?
Because
it wasn't just this guy and a girl. There was 7 to 9 people in the room that are other celebrities, and that's the part that everybody's forgetting about.
Why does everybody forget?
Hold on. Everybody's focusing on Kanye, but there were other celebrities in the room. So
Jennifer
that's why they
Lopez,
fought so hard.
LeBron
Hold on.
James.
Go ahead. But my thing is, since when does the government care about protecting people?
Dad, we were
Go
talking
ahead, Sheba.
They don't.
Where's Sheba at?
I think she got disconnected.
Okay. But you guys, you know what? This live is growing. We got 13,000 people here. I know you got to go.
I just told you about wiseness for the world to see. Putting out Antons, get all this.
So they look certain things up, and if cock.
Because there's a lot of the public, like they're humiliating normal, regular people that were making.
Yes.
But then the celebrities get all this protection. The escorts didn't get condoms or protection from the government.
Damn.
Why should the celebrities be protected? And let's be honest, the reason a lot of the public and everything.
Right? And if you look up
okay, come on, give it to us.
Now I just wanted to clear some misinformation up. A lot of people, they see the RICO, they look certain things up. And if you look up the time period, right?
And where y'all boys, guys? It was a wonderful stream, guys. W stream, guys. W stream, guys. Yeah, guys, it was W stream, guys. I appreciate you guys for tuning in with me, man. Tuning in with the crazy game, man. Once again, man. Yo, tomorrow, you know what the vibes is, bro. We back at it again. We back at it again tomorrow, guys. Tomorrow we back at it again. Don't forget to be here, man. We're here in the evening. We're here in the evenings, 9 p.m. Eastern every week, bro. Every single day. We in this bitch, bro. So tap in with us, man. Tap in with us, man.